before the 4th of July semi-holiday. No traffic out there. Played golf this morning. Nobody on the golf course. It was great.
A lot of traffic here, though. A lot of traffic here. There's both. Oh, yeah. It's Anime Con, correct, going on right now?
Oh, God, yeah. I noticed that.
Well,
I couldn't even get to the parking lot.
There's Anime Con and I believe it's the Marriott. Their housekeepers are striking right now.
Was it the Marriott? Because I saw him at the other hotel, the one across what's that hotel across the street at Figueroa?
Indigo.
It might be a full union thing. I'm not sure, but there is a lot happening right now just in our space.
Okay,
right here.
That's what we're talking
about. But we are very glad you're here. And Andy, I am selfishly very glad you are here today. For people who don't know, Andy and his brother Brian, besides being the creators, executive producers, and soon-to-be directors of Commander-in-Chief, host a Locked On Lakers podcast. Locked On is a network that my friend David Locke, who has my job for the Utah Jazz, David created a podcast network that he basically goes into every city, and if your team has a following, then he hires 2 local people to do a Monday through Friday podcast. Locked On Rams, Locked On USC.
Locked On Rams is Travis.
Locked On Lakers is you and your brother. So, I obviously...
It's available, John, by the way, 5 days a week, anywhere you get your podcast. There's also a YouTube component, which, by the way, since like the last 48 hours, place is hopping.
That's what I wanted to get to. Okay.
Place is hopping.
As anyone who listens to this station knows, I see the world through purple and gold colored glasses. I'm employed by the team. I have a tendency to, let's just say, overhype the Lakers when they do good things. And that's an understatement. But... Andy, that's not you. You are not employed by the team. No. You are a good arbiter.
I can say whatever the hell I want.
Well, not only that, you talk to and interact and hear from more Laker fans than almost anybody I know. I think they nailed free agency. I would give them an A. But, to be honest, and you know this, I think most of the listeners know this, even if I didn't give them an A, I would probably say they got an A to keep from getting fired. But you don't have those constraints. Your assessment of what has happened in the last 72 hours from the Lakers is what?
I think they had a really good free agency. I think, first of all, the most important thing for the Lakers in this free agency, because they did not have a lot of different optionality. Like, there were not a lot of different roads they could travel. The most important thing for them to do was make sure you don't get worse, which they clearly didn't. You want to try to get a little bit better, which I think they did. Their most important people to retain, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell. They got all 3 on reasonable deals, particularly like Austin Reeves was about $50 million less than it potentially could have been.
I'm glad you brought that up. So I think the Lakers did a smart thing, and tell me if you agree. I don't even know if it was intentional, but I think it was. What Andy is talking about is the Lakers were capped on how much money they could offer Austin Reeves, and they offered it to him the second free agency opened. They offered him 4 years, $56 million. Hey, Momo's here. Awesome. All right, so Momo will join this conversation too. All right.
What a fortunate moment we find ourselves in.
And by the way, we're going to try this again on Wednesday unless Dame gets traded and Momo gets sucked into the NBA.
My phone. Why did you take my phone? Andy just tried to take my phone.
I want to see the text. I want to see the texts Momo gets.
Yeah, well.
Okay, you can look.
How many phones do you have right now?
2, but this is the one I use.
Okay, so the story I'm telling Ramona is that the second free agency opened, Austin Reeves was given the maximum amount of money the Lakers could offer him. But other teams could offer him up to $98 million.
That's right. Yes.
And they never did. Now, I have a theory, and I want you to tell me if my theory's right or if this is just me being a Laker homer again. They leaked or somehow got the word out very early that if another team offered Austin Reeves a max contract, they were, and I'm using the phrase that was reported by many people, including the 2 of you, any offer the Lakers see to Austin Reeves, they're going to match it. And I think by doing that, the other teams all went, why do we want to tie up our money even for a day in Austin Reeves if the Lakers are just going to match it anyway.
100%.
And because the Lakers did that, they were able to get him for $56 million. Am I connecting dots that aren't there, or do you guys buy it?
Yeah, you got it. It's that's why restricted free agency sucks. Like, it's just it's not just that your team has the opportunity to match. It's that I think they cut it down. What is it? 3 days now or 48 hours? But it has to do with when the moratorium is.
Right.
So
I think now it's only 1 day, but either way, you don't want to tie up your money even for an hour if you don't have to.
And so nobody's gonna sign a restricted free agent until later. It's gonna be after the moratorium, and by the time you get to the moratorium, most teams have already decided what they were going to do. I mean, the only team I think that could still do something would have been the San Antonio Spurs.
And they didn't. And, Andy, I think they didn't because they knew the Lakers would match it and they didn't want to tie up their money.
I'm sure that is why they didn't do it. I mean, unless they had no interest in Austin Reeves, but I think Reeves has developed interest around the league. I'm a little surprised, though, that no team tried it just to
put the screws to the Lakers?
Just to put the screws to the Lakers, because once the first 24 hours or so of free agency ended, who are you missing out on? Like, who are you that worried about tying up your money on?
Okay, well, this lends itself to what we'll talk a lot about today, and that is trades have become as much a part of this free agency as the free agents are. And I think the word you keep hearing, Momo, I keep hearing you guys use this on NBA Today, is flexibility.
Yeah.
This team A has the flexibility to do this or the flexibility to do that. And it's why I think, and I'm curious if you agree, Ramona, I think that's why James Harden and Dame Lillard haven't moved yet.
Right.
I think all these teams are trying to move 3-4 moves ahead and make it happen that way.
I think it's also a new world with the new CBA, and what you have, if you're going to blow through this new thing, the second apron, blah blah blah, it's a hard cap. If you're going to blow through that, you better know exactly what your plan is. Like the Suns just decided, all right, it's like the speed limit. Let's say the speed limit is 75.
They're the most interesting team out there because they're basically saying, screw the second apron. Yeah. We're just going to stock our team with
If we're going to go 75, we might as well go 100.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And they did that very eyes wide open and let's go. Other teams are a little warier. They want to leave themselves some room to get under the second apron still. Like this idea of like, well, we might do it this year, but we still need to really get under the second apron for next year. I think that's where pretty much all of the league is right now. Is they're not quite sure how it's all going to play out. Plus, in 2 years, this is the other part of it. In 2 years, the new broadcast deal should be done. And everyone's expecting that deal is going to be massive and that the salary cap could go up to like $190 million.
Right.
In which case, $160 million for Jeremy Grant doesn't look so bad, right? Now, some of these max contracts, those numbers could even go up higher because you're doing it for a percentage of the salary cap.
LeBron's contract, I believe, went up a little bit this year because
the revenues were higher.
The revenue went up
so
slightly.
Here's the thing about the Lakers, and this is why I stopped by to talk to you guys about it, because I know there's some Laker interest. When you go into free agency, you have all these boards, right? And it's not just like a board. It's like more than the Bobby Marks touchscreen. It's like, if this, then that, then this, then that. And there's a timing to it all, too, and it's fluid. It's better to think about it like...
It's a bunch of sliding doors.
Yeah, it's sliding doors. Like, this door opens, we move that way. Okay. The Lakers board broke perfectly.
Yep.
Like there's I'm going to tell a story. It's going to sound complicated. Do we have time for a complicated story?
Hold that thought,
okay.
And we'll come back and tell it. Momo's here for a little while. You can't just say that. You have to tell me which one. Thank you. But yeah, because I want to ask you about that. I want to ask the latest on Harden, the latest on Dame Lillard. I thought the Lakers did, and Ramona said the word timing. I thought they did some really smart things about the way they laid this out. We'll get all into that next. All right. Did you know that it can now take up to 11 weeks on average to hire for an open job? That's almost 2.5 months. You don't have that kind of time. But if you're listening today, I've got some advice. Stop waiting. Start using ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find qualified candidates for all your roles fast. Maybe the Lakers use ZipRecruiter to build this roster over the weekend. I don't know. Sure looked like they did. ZipRecruiter uses powerful matching technology to instantly find you candidates that fit your roles. Or as my friend Ian Siegel says, he invented ZipRecruiter. They don't leave anything to chance. You can check out the people ZipRecruiter sends you. If you really like one, you can reach out to them with one click. How quick does it work? 4 out of 5 employers who use ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within 1 day. So just go to this exclusive web address to try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/LA. That's ZipRecruiter.com/LA. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Each weekday, 1 to 4 p.m. for your afternoon. Sandwich between Travis and Sliwa and Sonato and Cap. Mason and Ireland continues now.
So today it is Andy Kamenetsky in Ireland, and Ramona Shelburne has stopped by,
Just stop.
which was very nice of her, and we're talking about the Lakers. So picking up where we left off before, when they were able to get Reeves for $56 million instead of $98 million, it opened up a world of possibilities, and that's when I thought they struck gold. I liked the Taurean Prince signing. He can shoot threes. They desperately need people. He had an 8 3-pointer game this year.
Tough guy on the wing, too.
Cam Reddish used to be the third pick in the draft, and they got him on a veteran's minimum. I love the price they got Hachimura for.
Yep.
I think Jackson Hayes might play a little bit.
Jackson Hayes is going to be like Dwight Howard. Now, here's the one.
You said you had a story. What is it?
So here's the one that the biggest signing, of course, was Gabe Vincent. Like in terms of somebody from the outside coming in. Everything else was more retention or opportunistic at the margins, right? But Gabe Vincent, they spent $33 million on him, got him away from the Heat. I think they see him as an upgrade over Schroeder in the backcourt, just defensively and offensively.
And he's younger.
Yeah. And it was an interesting timing for this one. Okay, this is what I say, like the sliding doors, the dominoes, the timing, it all breaks right. So the Lakers are trying to get Gabe Vincent. Miami can only go to a certain number, and Miami's not going to go past that because they're still trying to stay in it for Dame Lillard thing. And Dame hasn't asked out yet, but everybody has a sense that he's going to. And so Miami, I think we were 4 for 28. I think they were right in that range. And Toronto was the other team. But Toronto has to wait on Fred VanVleet because they're trying to bring Fred back. So while Fred is deciding between staying in Toronto and going to Houston, which he ultimately did, the Lakers Toronto could actually have offered Gabe Vincent more, but he had to take the Lakers' offer before Fred made his decision. Now, if Fred decides to go to Houston, now Toronto can go with a bigger offer to Gabe Vincent. They can go, all this money that we had to save for Fred VanVleet, we
Right.
don't have to save it now. We can give it more to Gabe.
Which is why you use the word timing. It's why timing matters.
Well, I mean,
That's why timing matters.
It's the inverse of how the Lakers a few years ago
Yeah.
got Danny Green, because Danny was waiting on Kawhi, just like the Lakers were waiting on Kawhi and the Clippers. If Danny Green had played for any other team than Toronto, Lakers wouldn't have gotten him.
Right.
But he was waiting around.
Yeah, that's a good.
So,
that's a good analogy.
so the other side of the Gabe Vincent thing is Dennis Schroeder is waiting on this as well. If the Lakers don't get Gabe Vincent, I think they probably bring Schroeder back at that number that he ends up going to Toronto for.
Right.
So,
Slightly below. They couldn't
below.
go all the way up.
Yeah,
but
they couldn't go
slightly
all
he's
the way
going to
up.
make Schroeder's going to make $13 million a year. Vincent's going to make $11 million a
Yeah.
year, and Vincent got an extra year.
Yeah, an extra year
Yeah.
because he's younger too. So it's interesting how those sliding doors go. Now, if Van Vliet decides earlier, then Toronto has more clarity, and they probably get Gabe Vincent.
Well, the other thing that I think is, I thought this before, but now I think it's completely evident, is that Rob Pelinka is really good at this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that when he was brought in and they first brought him in and Magic Johnson was there, Rob actually had somebody who could veto what his ideas were in Magic. And when Magic stepped away, Rob became the top decision maker, and he has shown that he's not afraid to admit he made a mistake. He's very good at getting out of what looks like impossible situations. And Andy, you said it earlier. The thing that I'm most happy about is he learned from the Westbrook thing.
Yeah.
He said, we don't necessarily need 3 Hall of Famers. What we need is guys like Reeves and Hachimura that complement LeBron and AD.
Yeah.
And I love the depth on their roster now.
They didn't even get into the Kyrie Irving.
Well, I was going to say
conversation.
part of what
that was the big, monster out there that they could go after, and they didn't even Kyrie wanted to take meetings. He wanted people to call him and give him some leverage, or
there was
give him
just
some
no
options.
market for him.
Well, the Lakers could have been a market,
Right.
absolutely, but they didn't go down that road.
I mean, it's just interesting to think about, given what we've seen. This organization's tendency has always been towards stars, and we've seen at times Rob's inclinations towards stars. If Kyrie didn't have all the Kyrie that comes with him, you wonder what the Lakers might have done in terms of trying to set up that sort of meeting, trying to replicate a better fitting 3-star model. I think the Lakers did a really good job in this offseason, but if you have any doubts about Rob's instincts at all, it may have helped him that they really had no other path to go down than this one. They just nailed the path.
Right.
And things broke perfectly for them.
Here's Bobby Marks. Now, it's one thing for John Ireland to say, I'm giving the Lakers an A for free agency, because, again, frankly, I'd probably say it no matter what. But the
State propaganda.
Yeah, to keep my job.
It's not even Tuesday.
I know. But here's
people
Bobby.
have figured
Here's
this
Bobby
out
Marks
by
from
now.
ESPN, who does this for a living, on what he thought about the Lakers' free agency.
All right, so this morning I gave them an A. I am going to increase that. I am giving an A+. Okay. Something I did not get at Marist College. I am giving them an A+ this morning here, and this is why. I mean, look at what they've done. They can bring it back or a little bit of mix and match. Gabe Vincent yesterday. They still have D'Angelo Russell's rights. They can re-sign him. Keep an eye on D'Angelo. They went out and got Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish. This is the move that puts them over the top here. Jackson Hayes, I had him at $5 million. He comes in at the veteran minimum exception here.
Wow.
A protector, rim protector, former first-round picks. New Orleans did not give him a qualifying offer. I forgot about Rui Hachimura. How can I forget about him? I mean,
he had a good playoff run.
Well, and this is what I like about them. Last year, the Lakers had 3 players making $40 million or more. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook. Everyone else was veteran minimums. You've got a nice balance right now as far as flexibility if you ever have to do a deal down the road. So, A+ for the Lakers.
So there you go. There's somebody that doesn't have to give the Lakers an A that's giving them an A. Now, here's a flip side. Here's somebody who doesn't like what the Lakers did. This is Tim Bontemps.
He doesn't like
I
what
would
they
say
did.
they brought back the same roster they had,
which was a very good roster.
It's
It's still up to Anthony Davis.
Are they? How closer are they to the Nuggets?
They are
They-
closer.
they-
They are closer. Absolutely, they are. They were close in that series.
I think they're closer because Denver got worse. I think the
By
Lakers
losing
are,
Bruce Brown.
I think losing Bruce Brown and Jeff Green. But to me, the Lakers didn't materially get better. And if I'm looking at this from LeBron James' perspective, like, look, if he's happy, it's all that really matters, right? Yeah. But if I'm the Lakers and I have LeBron in his age 38, 39 season, I'm trying to win a championship right now.
Yeah.
And to me, the Lakers didn't add anybody that materially moved the needle closer. Because they'd gone and gotten Dante DiVincenzo, say, right? Instead of Gabe Vincent. I would have said, all right, that's a real significant addition, a guy who's clearly better than what they had. Maybe Gabe Vincent is this much better than Dennis Schroeder. He's essentially the same. And otherwise, their roster is essentially the same. Now, they were better over the second half of the season, but a lot of it in the playoffs is unsustainable shooting. I don't know if that's going to carry over. And I just don't, like Brian said, everyone's acting like they had the greatest offseason of all time.
I just thought they functioned
You said
like
that
a
B+,
good franchise.
I think that's fine. But again, I'm talking about championship equity. I just don't think they got closer to that.
We'll see how it plays out during the season.
All right, so let me tell you a little. I like Tim a lot, and he's been a guest on our show a bunch of times, and he's a good NBA guy. But Tim has never liked the Lakers. He picked the Lakers to lose to Memphis.
Well, I did
he
too.
picked the
I
Lakers
did.
to lose to the Warriors.
To be fair to Tim, Tim doesn't like the moves anybody does.
Right.
Tim is,
But I'm
yeah.
just saying, in the Lakers in particular, he said, I think he picked Memphis in 5.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then he said the Warriors will beat the Lakers.
Yeah.
And then I think he got it right when they finally.
Well, Tim
finally picked
roundly
Denver.
mocked, and I've heard a lot of this because I listen regularly to the Hoop Collective, and
Yeah.
I think Tim does a really good job covering the league. But when the Lakers at the deadline made the moves for D'Angelo and Beasley and Vanderbilt and Bamba, he mocked Brian Windhorst, roundly mocked him. So did Tim McMahon, by the way, for saying that he thought the Lakers now had a top 6 roster in the West. Turns out Windhorst was wrong. They were better than top 6.
Well, the Lakers finished with the second best record in the NBA
so
after
Bontemps
the
may just
All-Star
be
break.
doubling, tripling down on his
So
forwards.
this morning I
Right.
woke up to this tweet from our friend O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Okay.
Tim doesn't mess with the Lakers. We know this. I've edited this for the radio.
Yeah.
It's been that way. When I was going on my 2020 receipt war, Ramona Shelburne saved him from me going off. He will pay for his crimes. Okay,
Yeah.
listen, I know Timmy's a friend of mine. He's like a really genuinely good person.
He's a good guy.
But Tim is like the youngest curmudgeon you've ever met.
There
like
you go.
he is. He's like, give me some. You want him to go on a rant. You know, the 2:00 call of the day. You like people to rant.
Yeah.
That's Tim. Just call him up. He'll go on a rant and on anything.
Yeah, it seems to me that the Lakers had a really good weekend, and it's a matter of having it play out. But I'll miss Dennis Schroeder. I would have loved to have kept him. I'll miss Lonnie Walker. But I think the guys they brought in are just as good as the guys who went out.
Here's what I would say to Tim, though, where I think they got better than he clearly did. But the idea of how much closer to a championship did they get, how much closer to Denver, you can agree or disagree about how much closer. But the question I would have for Tim is, what moves do you think the Lakers should have and could have made that they didn't? Like, what were the better choices out there that the Lakers could have made and passed on? Like DiVincenzo, for example, I'll make this clear. I don't know this at all. I'm just guessing. I don't think they could have competed with the opportunity of reuniting with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart
In New York.
Yeah,
really
Villanova
fun.
teammates. I don't know this.
I mean, the only guy I thought that would have been a major upgrade for them was Bruce Brown, but Bruce Brown got $20 million from Indiana.
So the question I would ask Tim is, what are the moves realistically the Lakers could have made, the choices out there that would have been better that they didn't?
All right, Momo, can you hear one more segment?
I will. And
Okay.
I'm going to just, you know what? Since it's a Monday and it's a holiday weekend and I've been on air all weekend, I'm a little slap happy. I might just throw out some crazy stuff.
I love it.
Crazy.
All right, we'll spin the wheel of questions, and I want to ask Ramona about Damian Lillard. I want to ask her about James Harden. We'll get into all of it next. Andy Kamenetsky and for Mace, ESPN LA.
Producer Jorge, are you ready with that wheel? Hit it.
Oh, this is going to be hard for all of you. All right, by the way, Michael Funchess is in here today. Hi, Funch.
Yo, what's up, John?
Filling in for Bergman, and Jorge's here.
Yeah.
Briones, how's your teeth?
Oh, man, it's I still don't feel my lip, but it's good. But it's
All
good.
right. Okay, so here's the question. I'll start with you two guys. And I need a number. I need an actual figure. All right? Funch, how much money would I have to give you per month to make you give up your cell phone?
I'd say $15,000
A month?
a month.
15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jorge, how much?
A month? A good 5 Gs will do it for me.
Cheap.
Andy?
It's got to be at least 20 grand a month because for me, it affects my job. It affects my ability to parent.
Right.
Like all the different things I need a phone for. So if I don't have a phone, I got to hire an assistant. You got to pay me
Okay.
to
Now-
basically change my lifestyle.
Here's the hardest one because ever since I've known Ramona Shelburne, she's had a phone permanently attached to
Almost
her
got to
hand.
get a new job.
Ramona, how much money per month? You have to give me a number.
Yeah, I'll
how
give
much,
you a number.
How much money a month to give up your cell phone?
100.
100 grand a month.
Yeah.
See, I think all of you are too low. You in particular, Ramona, have two little kids. They don't have phones yet. Once they get phones, Andy's right. It is the lifeline to your kids.
I grew up without a phone.
Right.
It's literally just for my job. Like,
Right.
I would be fine without a phone. It would be
you
okay.
grew up without a phone, so you think your two boys, it's going to be fine without a phone? Oh, that's adorable,
Yeah,
Momo.
Ramona. By the way, you don't know
That is
this.
so
you don't
cute
know this
that you
yet.
actually believe
You
that.
know the baby is literally taking the phone out of my pocket now.
Okay.
He walks by, reaches into my pocket, and takes the phone
Andy,
out.
how old's your daughter?
She's 12. Make sure
I know.
you save this Jorge, by the way, because
I
this is
know.
going to be hilarious years from
Okay,
now.
Andy, I'm going to give you a parenting tip somebody gave me, and it works like a charm. From what I know about your daughter, she's pretty. You don't have a lot of trouble with her.
No, she's a good kid.
But if she ever does something, and you need to punish her, and you can't decide what to do, all you got to do is take away her phone.
Oh, been there, done
I
that.
took away Jack's phone.
Oh, yeah.
When he was 15, and he immediately fell in
Yeah.
line. He's like, when can I get it back? I'm like,
Yeah.
if you don't do what you're doing anymore, I'll give it back to you tomorrow at 3:00.
Yeah.
And he followed every rule. It is one of the great kids
Yeah.
today. Because you said it, Ramona. They don't know what life is like.
Yeah, without
before
it.
cell phones.
But I did not have a phone. This is staggering. I did not have a phone until I graduated college.
I did not have a phone in college. That's how old I am.
Yeah. No, I didn't have it
Yeah.
in college either until I graduated. I got my first phone as like a graduation present from
I got my
aunt.
first phone at KCAL. That's
Yeah.
it. I still remember it in 1997.
Do you remember
they gave
when
me
we
a
used to have
phone.
to like call each other?
Yeah.
No,
Or yeah.
I got literally, it's 2001 is when I graduated. I didn't have a phone until then.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I had a
payphones?
landline. I had a payphone. We went to payphones and landlines. When I worked my first job at the Daily News, I had to go into the office. Like, I had to call people and say, "Hi, this is Ramona with the Daily News. I can be reached at 818-713, whatever."
I used to love
And
being
then-
a part of a newsroom.
Yeah, I had to go to the news. Like, people would return my phone calls in the office. Like, you had to go to the office to get called. And the idea of a text message.
Yeah,
Do you remember what a text
A few weeks ago, I was watching some episodes of The Wire, like season 1, and that was the season
With the pagers.
with the pagers
Yeah.
and bugging the payphones. And all I could think about watching them constantly using those payphones in the pit and wherever is, those look so disgusting.
Yeah.
Like the
And
idea
we all
of actually,
used 'em.
right? The idea of now, like, especially post-pandemic,
Yeah.
like putting your mouth up to one of those
I wonder
random
if Michael Thompson
receivers.
ever used a public payphone. I doubt it. Okay, Momo, since we only get you for a few more minutes, let me
Yeah.
start here. What happens with Dame Lillard?
I think he eventually ends up in Miami, but I'm not sure how we get there or how long it takes. I said this on the show today, on NBA Today,
Okay.
which we've become a
Yes.
funny thing. This might get ugly, this situation, because Dame wants to go to the Heat. I know he likes the Spurs too, but he doesn't fit their timeline. So unless they want to go trade for another star and just fast forward their timeline, I don't see that. He'd be okay in Brooklyn. I don't think that's happening. So
What about Philly?
Okay.
Philly seems like they have the assets.
I don't. Right now, that doesn't seem like it. The team I just really want to keep my eye on is Boston. They traded Marcus Smart. They tried to trade Malcolm Brogdon. I know they have Derek White. You have to put a great defensive guard next to Damian Lillard. It's like Steph and Clay. Steph works because he has Clay next to him. I think Dame next to Derek White would be great. Dame next to Jason Tatum. I know they've had an interaction before. I don't think Dame wants to play in Boston. I think there's a lot of teams where they make a lot of sense for Dame. Like, you could make a whole case for why, he should go to Utah or
right.
All these different teams, but he doesn't want to be there. And so now you're setting this up where this is a star player without a no trade clause. Nobody has those except for Brad Beal.
Right.
And if he doesn't want to be there, do you want to take a chance on putting all those assets in for a trade for him when you'll have somebody who is not willing? Would he stay home? He just built a 25,000 square foot house in Portland. How long would it take? Would he just say bad things about your franchise in the press? Would it be dragging him kicking and screaming? He is under contract for 4 more years.
It's also going to be
okay. So I wanted to ask you about that. So go ahead and finish your
I was
line,
going to say
Andy.
it's also going to be PR-wise a bad look for Portland if it looks like they're exiling him.
Yeah, I mean, let's say they just trade him to Utah. Or let's say they trade him to
Why do I
Orlando.
care if I'm Portland? All I care about if I'm Portland. I just want the best return I can get.
Yeah, I mean, I could come up with a scenario where the Orlando Magic could have.
I think
the
if you're
best
Portland, all I would say is if you're Portland and you have a hard enough time getting people to come to your organization as it is, do you really want to be seen as sending the best player in franchise history?
I don't know.
Kicking and screaming to
I wouldn't care.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it for that reason. However, there is a loyalty thing here. There is an idea that this guy was so important to your franchise. Like, I've heard that. I mean, it is uncomfortable for the Trailblazers now. Like, there are threats being made again. Like
Right.
like if you're Joe Cronin right now, he is not
That's
a
a GM of
well-liked
the
person
Blazers.
in Boston.
Okay,
in
so
Portland right now.
let me throw this at you guys.
Yeah.
Damian Lillard and I have the same birthday, July 15th. Okay, so in 2 weeks, Damian Lillard turns 33. All right, you mentioned, Ramona, that he's signed for 4 more years. So when he's 33, he makes $45 million.
Mm-hmm.
When he's 34, he makes $49 million. When he's 35, he makes $58 million. And when he's 36, $63 million. Guys, I love Damian Lillard. He's one of my favorite players in the league. I think he's going to the Hall of Fame in the first ballot.
Yeah.
He's a great player. I don't want him for $63 million when he's 36.
I know.
What am I missing here?
Look, the salary cap will go up, so that could be even more actually. But the numbers will seem differently. The only guy I've seen make that much money at that age is Steph Curry. Steph Curry makes about in this range, and he's the same age. And I've done the little thought experiment with Steph. If you told me Dame Lillard is on the Warriors, the same setup that Steph Curry was in, how many championships does he win? Like, I used to do this with Kobe and Melo. Like, if you put Melo in LA,
maybe not 4, but at least 2.
Yeah,
I would think so too.
I mean, if you put Melo in LA next to Shaq, how many championships does he win?
I think
not as many as Kobe, but I still think
wins
he wins
at least
some.
1. 3 in a row, I think, is only Kobe.
Yeah,
All right.
it's only Kobe.
Now-
but it's an interesting thought experiment because I do think Dame is that good.
All right. Where's James Harden going?
I think he stays in Philly.
Really?
Yeah, I think
Discomfort.
look,
big time.
Look, here's what's. If you're, he made a colossal mistake opting into that contract. That was.
But isn't that? Can I make the argument that that's the only leverage he had?
No, it would have been better off signing because he's lost so much money. Like, he cannot extend with any team now. So if he gets traded to the Clippers or to, let's just name it, Miami, Chicago, New York, whatever, he can't do an extension until next offseason when he will be 35. So let's say the Philly offer wasn't going to be what he wanted. Okay, let's say he had a reason to believe, or he just wasn't feeling good about it, or whatever, that it was going to. My sense of what the offer could have been. Okay, I'm just going to say it like that. Probably 3 years, maybe that third year's a team option, somewhere around $30 million a year. So let's say it's 3 for $90. Okay, just a ballpark.
Okay,
he's got to make that back. He's got 35.
Good luck.
He's making 35 this year, so that means you're going to have to get 55 over the next 2 years when you're a 35-year-old free agent.
That
and you've
never
asked
seems
out,
ever happy.
right? And
Okay.
he was
It
asked
never
out 4
seems
times.
happy.
guys, tell me who says no to this deal.
Okay.
All right, stay with me here.
Okay.
All right. Damian Lillard, There's a 3-team trade.
All right.
Damian Lillard goes to Philadelphia to play with Joel Embiid. James Harden goes to the Clippers in exchange for expiring contracts and maybe Terrence Mann if they insist on it. But I think what Philly wants is expiring contracts that they could then trade to Portland because Portland wants expiring contracts. So,
well, Portland wants a young player and picks, too.
Well, I'm going to give him Tyrese Maxey, who's a really good young player.
All right.
So I send the first part of this trade is James Harden to the Clippers for Robert Covington, Norman Powell.
Norman's not expiring.
All right, but who's another expiring? Marcus Morris, who's from
Morris.
Philly.
Yeah.
All right, Marcus Morris would love to be in this deal.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you send him expiring contracts. You give him Terrence Mann so they get some value, and you give him a pick. All right, like a 28 or 30 pick, whatever you got left. Then Philadelphia sends those expiring contracts, as many as Portland wants, to Portland along with Tyrese Maxey in exchange for Dame. Clippers get Harden. That works. Philly gets Dame. That works. Portland gets expiring contracts, picks, and Tyrese Maxey. Who says no to that
Where are
deal?
the picks coming from?
The picks, one from the Clippers and one from the Sixers.
Actually, I think Portland might say no because if you get Maxey, it's in the last year. You have to extend him. What do they need to extend him for? They've already got Scoot Henderson. They've got Simons. They don't actually need Maxey.
Wait a minute. You're forgetting something. What if they flip him?
Or they trade Simons or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, you could do that. All I'm saying is if you can't find a taker, because I would assume they've been trying to flip Simons for a while. I would like to think
I
that
personally don't.
Maxey has value. I can tell you that.
Maxey has a lot of it. I don't think the Sixers trade Maxey right now. I don't think they're there. I think the Sixers' best move is to try to coax James Harden back and, just run it back with this team, keep everybody on expiring. It's going to be uncomfortable and weird, but I think they can get there. I don't think he's Ben Simmons. I think he loves to play basketball. And then, as we approach February, I guarantee you, whether they play him or don't play him. Let's say he says, I don't want to report. I
have
have
a bad back.
Bad back, hamstring, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's kind of what he did in Houston and in Brooklyn.
Yeah. So let's say he does that. They can get at least one first-round pick, maybe two for James Harden. There's going to be some team out there that will take a chance on. If the Clippers want James Harden, they can get him in February.
Plus, if Harden does that, good luck on your next deal.
Yeah, it's hard to get an extension after you've already done this 4 times.
So, Ramona, what surprises me about this weekend is that the Clippers didn't do anything. I mean, they went out and got K.J. Martin, which I think is a nice pickup. He's a good young player. But they've got the richest owner in the NBA, and they re-signed Russ. And, if you listen to the show, you guys know I'm not one of these guys who hates Russ. I think Russ played well for them last year, but he needs the ball. And now you've got Russell Westbrook for 2 more years, along with Kawhi and Paul George. Are you surprised the Clippers didn't do more?
Not much they can do.
I still
think
they
get Harden.
I think they're trying to get Harden, but I don't think they have what Philly wants. Yeah. Norman Powell is a good player, but Philly doesn't want the second year on Norman Powell. That would be part of that issue. I think the Brogdon deal is not done. Is not over with. That kind of fell apart because the Boston didn't. The Clippers needed to see what was going on with his forearm. He has like a wrist forearm thing.
They backed out.
And they didn't back out. They just didn't. They weren't going to move forward unless they saw all the medicals, and they didn't get all the medicals in time. And it was a deadline with Porzingis anyway. So Boston pivoted, moved on, but I don't think that's over. I could still see a world in which Brogdon and Harden are in LA. I just think that takes time. I think Dame's situation kind of moves to the forefront, and Harden goes on the back burner. And the longer Harden is still in Philly, the more I think this plays out. I don't see, unless the Clippers can get, if the Clippers could get 2 first-round picks to Philly, I think they would do that. If you can get 2 firsts and the expirings, I think that would get done. But if I'm Philly, I just either coax him back, see if he'll come back, or hold on to him, because at some point somebody's going to give you 1, maybe 2, and then something you want.
Okay. Ramona, thank you for coming by. We might see you Wednesday, depending on how all these stories break. Andy and I will be here regardless. Okay. And say hi to the boys for us, will you?
I will.
All right, there is Ramona Shelburne. Andy and I will be back with the 2 o'clock call of the day, 877 710-3776, 877-710 ESPN. You can talk to us about any of this stuff or anything you want to talk about, and we'll do it next. Mason in Ireland, Andy in for Mace, ESPN LA.
continues now.
Today it's Andy Kamenetsky and Ireland. Breaking Housewives news from Andy Kamenetsky. I'm shocked. What do you have over there?
Kyle Richards, who you informed me is a housewife. I didn't know who she is.
Good-looking one.
And Mauricio Umansky.
Yeah.
They are, according to People magazine, separating after 27 years of marriage.
That's really surprising. They were. I've met him. He plays golf at the same place I play golf at. Really good dude. And so a lot of people are going to be upset over that. They have two young daughters who work for the company. He's a real estate guy and owns his own real estate firm in Beverly Hills. And Kyle is a child actress. She started on Little House on the Prairie when she was a kid.
Oh, really?
She's worked, But that'll be disappointing to people in Housewives land. Okay, time for the 2 o'clock call of the day.
Clearly, your reaction.
Yeah, my wife's going to be shocked. 2 o'clock call of the day, and you can talk about anything you want, and just don't ask us how we're doing, or else Jorge will hang up on you. Noah in Studio City. Hey, Noah, you're on ESPN LA. Hi.
Hey, guys. Happy to be here. First of all, I'm just trying to pull myself together of that Housewives bombshell you just dropped.
There you go.
Forgive me if I'm a little, frazzled here. But I just want to talk real quickly about Dame time. Look, I rarely am one to side with ownership. But in this situation, look, he has been professing and shouting from the rooftops for years that he bleeds Portland Blazer red blood, and that's where he wants to stay. He doesn't want to go anywhere, doesn't want to be traded, wants to win there. And that's fine if that's what you're really about. But if you're going to do that and then wait until basically free agency has basically come and gone, because the reality is it only lasts for about 48 hours. Everyone's already made their decisions. And then you drop that bomb on them and like, hey, you know what? Remember all that stuff I said about wanting to stay? Yeah, you know what? Scratch that. I want to go. And not only do I want to go, I only want to go to Miami. You are completely handcuffing that team. You're giving them 0 outs or any viable way to make this happen.
All right, Noah, can I give you a counter argument? All right.
Oh, you can give me a counter argument.
So here's what I think happened, and Andy, tell me if you agree. I think Dame really did want to stay in Portland
100%.
and wanted Noah to give them the opportunity to bring people in and play with him. I think that's why they offered Jeremy Grant all that money. They offered him 5 years, $150 million or something. They went out and tried to get players. He wanted them at the start of free agency and also with the draft to see if the Blazers would trade their draft pick, trade some people, and bring in a star. When they didn't do it, Noah, when they did absolutely nothing to improve the current roster and drafted super young guys, I think Dame thought to himself, this team's not going to win for 3 years. I'm out of here. Did you see that side of it, that he was waiting for them to do something to make the team better, and they never did, and that's why the timing of him asking for the trade went down the way it did? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I mean, nothing you ever say, John, doesn't make sense. But I don't necessarily think that it is valid, and I'll tell you why. I feel like if that were the case, then the Blazers and Dame probably already knew that, because, as you know, as soon as that bell rings and free agency happens, all those deals, they happen instantaneously because
they've already been done.
Out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's interesting.
He had to know, and Portland had to know what they were or weren't doing, and if he really thought, hey, they're not going to, he should have said in advance, hey, if you guys don't think you can get this done, let me know now and make me a piece of the puzzle to get me out of here. Huh. And they could have said, you know what, we don't really have a viable thing to help you right now, which they haven't done for years anyway, and he knew that.
Yeah, maybe. It's a good call, Noah. Thank you for that phone call. Andy, one thing that I find interesting here is, like Ramona said, like let's say you're Philly. Let's say you're Daryl Morey, and Daryl's one of the most aggressive GMs out there, and you want Damian Lillard. To say something like, and I think Tyrese Maxey's a great young player, to say, well, I won't put Tyrese Maxey in the deal. I would, if I'm Portland, I just hang up the phone. I go, look, We're talking about a future Hall of Famer who's 32 years old, who might put you over the top. If you won't even consider giving me Tyrese Maxey, don't waste my time.
Right, fine.
Click.
So you hang up the phone and look. You know enough to know a lot of these trade deals. Along the way, there are a lot of phones hung up.
Right.
Like that he won't put Tyrese Maxey in a deal now. To be honest, doesn't mean anything. Like, let's see if in a month he'll put Tyrese Maxey in a deal, or in November he'll put Maxey in a deal. Because one thing to consider, Joel Embiid is coming off an MVP season. He's in his prime, and if you don't put a competitive team around him, you're at risk of Embiid leaving.
Right.
So as much as Daryl Morey, is willing to lean into the discomfort and all that stuff, he can only screw around so much too. Otherwise, he will have ended up not just losing James Harden, he'll have lost Joel Embiid.
I remember during that very brief window when Kobe was demanding a trade, and it leaked out that one of the teams he wanted to go to was Chicago. Strangely, his agent at the time was Rob Pelinka.
Yep.
And the GM, I think it was Jim Paxson, the GM of the Bulls, said, "We're interested, but we're not giving up Luol Deng."
Well, no, that's not what happened.
That's true,
that's not what happened.
Okay.
What happened was, because Kobe had a no-trade clause, Kobe wanted to play with Deng.
Right.
Chicago's not going to give up Deng because Kobe won't go.
If that's it, it's a different story. But
that is what happened.
We won't put Tyrese Maxey in any deal. What? It's Damian Lillard.
It's also
Come
July.
on.
It's July.
Come on.
July.
All right, let's take one more call. Here's Jim in Century City. Hey, Jim, you're on ESPN LA. Hi.
Hey, it's a gorgeous day out here. I'm at the actual mall, guys, and just chilling out here. But listen, I got a couple things for you. These super teams, Portland, everybody's excited about. I'm not Portland, Phoenix. Everybody's excited about Phoenix, but these super teams just don't seem to work. I mean, you think about the Nets, right? You had Kyrie, Harden, KD, and how far did they go? Second round? Even if you take Dame over to Philly, and it looks like it should work. It's them going with him.
Although, Jim, for every super team you tell me didn't work, I could come back at you with one that did. When Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, they were basically unbeatable because they had Durant, Steph, Clay, and Draymond. The Lakers went to the finals 9 times in the 80s because they had Worthy, Kareem, and Magic. When the three Heatles got together, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron, they went to 4 straight NBA finals. Andy, the reason teams, thanks for the call, the reason teams try and get super teams is because if you get the right super team, it works.
Well, to Jim's point, though, right? Because I agree with you. There's plenty of examples of stacked teams that end up winning everything. But to Jim's point, and I think he's right about this, you can't just throw any 3 stars together.
Correct.
And this was a problem that I saw from the beginning with Brooklyn, with Kyrie, Durant, and Harden. There ain't a leader among the 3 of them. Somebody has to be the leader. And none of those 3 guys want to lead. And if you're going to have a rudderless superstar trio with that much power and no accountability, I thought then it was going to fail. I was not surprised everything fell apart. Kevin Durant has been open about the fact he's not a leader guy. Kyrie Irving, definitely not a leader. James Harden's not a leader.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. All right, so you found this story in a Dodgers mailbag in The Athletic, and I find this fascinating. Could the Dodgers, who have a hole at shortstop, move Mookie Betts to short permanently and then go trade for a right fielder? And when I first heard it, I thought, that's asinine because Mookie Betts has won 6 Gold Gloves in right field. Why would you take a 6-time Gold Glove winning outfielder out of the outfield? But then I started thinking about it. He's not a bad infielder. He's actually shown that he can play second or short fairly well. And, he's just one of these guys that's a really good athlete. And it opens up a whole new world of possibilities. I don't hate this idea. Do you?
It's funny because I remember before the season began, there was all this talk about potentially playing Mookie at second.
Yeah,
which is something
and we all thought it was asinine
Right, well, I was like,
until
what?
I saw him do it.
Yeah, well, it's not even that I thought Mookie couldn't do it. It was more like that guy's arm is a weapon in and of itself. Why are you taking that arm out of right field?
I'm with you. Yeah.
But then started seeing him play at second. He was good, and the team was winning. If the options, especially on the trade market, are better for finding an outfielder than they are for finding a shortstop, and Mookie can get by it short as long as you're willing to take the risk of him potentially getting hurt, because I think they're higher at short than they are in the outfield.
Right.
If nothing else, we've learned Mookie is an incredible athlete.
This dude he's
unbelievable.
Is a freak. I honestly think, I don't know if he could catch. I don't know if he could be a catcher, but I think he could play any of the other 7 positions. I'll take pitching out of it too. Is there any position you think you could put him there and you would go, he can't do that?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's too short for first base.
But he's a great athlete.
He's a great athlete. I'm
I
just
think
saying
he'd figure it out.
He might be too short for first. But, like, here's the other thing, too, with the Dodgers. This is not a year where they're expected to win it all anyway. So let's just say Mookie is a step down from shortstop for where you'd normally want. Like, he's fine, but he's not great. The stakes are relatively low because you're not expected to win it all this year anyway.
You know that right now in Vegas, the Dodgers are the second favorite in the National League to go to the World Series, behind only Atlanta. So everybody thinks they're going to do something.
It's a combination of they've been better than expected and Dodgers will get bets in Vegas.
And if you would have mentioned to me, I think it may have come up. Somebody said, well, move Mookie Betts to the infield. I said, you're an idiot. He's a 6-time Gold Glove winning outfielder. I've changed my mind. I don't think that is any longer a crazy idea.
No, it's
just not.
It's kind of crazy that it isn't crazy.
All right, coming up next, Funchess found this story. I am fascinated by this. Fascinated by it. If you got your number retired, which is the ultimate compliment in sports, saying you meant so much to our team that no one will ever wear your uniform again. When you go to Laker games, you look up, you see all the retired jerseys. It's the ultimate compliment. But what if the best player ever said he would come to your team, but he wants that number? Would that change your mind? It's playing out in real time, and we'll explain next. Mason in Ireland, Andy Kamenetsky in for Mace, ESPN LA. Holiday, Mason not only takes the holiday, but he takes the day before and the day after just because. He's mastered the art of taking time off better than anybody I've ever met.
But he still listens to the station.
Yeah, he's been texting us saying that he heard or somebody texted him when we've begged him basically not to play in the field in the softball game because he's going to get hurt.
Well,
he claims now he's saying he's going to hit a home run and he's dedicating it to his dog, and I don't know what he's.
Well,
yeah, I mean, the chances of Mason hitting a home run in this game are minuscule.
Yeah, I told him actually in our text chain he should find a sick kid to dedicate this home run to and make sure he'll let the kid know he's hitting a home run for him on July 14th.
Yeah, that's not going to end well.
No.
All right, so this is a fascinating story. Everybody has heard of Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez was an all-star first baseman for the Cardinals, your boyhood
team. He's part
team.
of the 82 World Series team.
And then he moved on to the Mets, where he his career took off, won another World Series with the Mets in 86. And last year, the Mets retired his number. And the number Keith wore when he played in the major leagues was number 17. And it just so happens that Shohei Ohtani, who is going to be a free agent at the end of this season, and could possibly be the greatest baseball player of all time. I mean, he's that good. He pitches, he hits, he does both better than almost everyone alive. So somebody asked Hernandez, hey, Ohtani wears number 17. So if he came to the Mets, would you allow him to wear your jersey, which you now have retired by the Mets? Here's Hernandez talking about that.
If Ohtani were to sign with the Mets, would you allow him to wear his number 17?
Well, he couldn't.
Well, with your permission, he could.
Don't ask.
Okay. Now, I don't mean to make light of I think getting your jersey retired is a real thing, and it's a tremendous honor. So I think he has every right to say, no, I don't want to give it up. But we're not talking about some run-of-the-mill free agent that's coming that's going to make $10 million a year. We're talking about a guy who might make $80 million a year. What do you think about Keith Hernandez saying, don't ask?
Here's the problem, I think, from Hernandez's standpoint, beyond the fact of, all these guys don't want to unretire their numbers. They occasionally do it to help out the team, but none of them want to. Hernandez has just got retired. He's just still soaking in the glory of this. If Ohtani maybe was coming 10 years from now, he might be like, all right, you know what? I've had a decade of a retired number. He's barely gotten to enjoy this.
So you sympathize in this case with Hernandez.
I do, actually.
Surprised me. Funch, how about you? You're Hernandez. They come to you and they say, hey, man, we got a chance to get Shohei Ohtani, but he wants to wear number 17. So we're asking, would you be willing to give that up? We'll make it a feel-good story. You'll be a hero in New York. What do you think?
I mean, if you're a real Met, you would give him whatever he wants, right?
I would.
Yeah, right? You give him whatever he wants. I mean,
I can almost get... Jorge, how about you?
Yeah, for a player like Ohtani, I would give up my number. If it was just any other guy, then no.
Okay, and I don't mean this to... and maybe he'll surprise me, but I don't mean this to be negative towards Mason, but I don't think Mason would give it up.
Are you kidding? He'd never.
No, Jorge, do you?
Oh, heck no.
Funch?
Nope.
Yeah.
Not in a million years.
And what? By the way, one of the reasons Mason is good on the radio, just a good character and funny, and is Mason loves Mason. He, as he would say, I love me some me.
Mm-hmm.
Hernandez seems like one of these guys. Like you brought this up. We were trying to figure out who does Hernandez think he is, and you found this clip with Elaine on Seinfeld when he was dating Elaine, and he immediately went in to start making out with her.
Who does this guy think he is?
I'm Keith Hernandez.
Yeah, there's a little I'm Keith Hernandez in here.
Exactly. Look, I want to make it clear. When I said that I sympathize with Hernandez, he's doing the selfish thing. I want to make it clear to people. It's a selfish act, And
but like Mason, part of what makes Mason is he's selfish.
Yes. I mean, look, Funches is correct. If he really is Mr. Met, like the type of guy that you would retire his number for in the first place, he'd say, yeah, of course, it's Shohei Ohtani. Like, this could change this organization's fortunes for the next decade. Of course I'll do it. I'm just saying, I get it. Like, he hasn't even had a year with his number retired.
If I was Keith, I would let, I'll tell Ohtani, you can have your face over my face on an episode of Seinfeld if you come to the Mets.
He's got to give him a lot of cartons of cigarettes, though, if Hernandez is still partaking.
I remember, Al Horford, who plays for. So when I was at UCLA, Al's father, Tito Horford, who was a good player, he ended up going to the University of Miami, wanted to wear number 33. No one had worn number 33 at UCLA since Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And they went to Kareem and said, this guy really wants to wear number 33. You're one of his heroes growing up. It's the only number he's ever worn, and they were recruiting Tito Horford. And Kareem said, if he'll come to UCLA, of course he can wear it. And there are going to be some people that say that, and there are going to be other people like Keith Hernandez who, I mean...
Who does this guy think he is?
I'm Keith Hernandez.
It just seems like an incredibly... Use the word selfish. It's just such a narcissistic act.
Okay,
you know?
I was not paying attention to this part of it specifically. Did Hernandez say this during a Mets broadcast?
Yeah, well, Gary Cohen, who does the games, the Mets have been terrible this year. People in New York watch the Mets broadcast because these guys will say anything.
Yeah.
They talk. They're like
Hernandez has always been like that.
They're like me and Michael. You never know what tangent they're going off of, and so this was during a game.
If Ohtani were to sign with the Mets, would you allow him to wear his number 17?
Well, he couldn't.
Well, with your permission, he could.
Don't ask.
I mean, it's just...
I'm Keith Hernandez.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Again,
it's Shohei frickin' Ohtani. How can you be that? I mean, isn't this going to ruin him in the eyes of Mets fans?
I don't know, man. He's Keith Hernandez.
Who does this guy think he is?
I'm Keith Hernandez.
I just think it's like... If what I would love, just because, like you say, you love conflict, I would love it if it came down to this. Like Ohtani came out and said, I'll go to the Mets if I can wear number 17. And it forced Hernandez's hand.
Oh, this would be...
And can you imagine if he said no?
I kind of can't. I actually kind of can't. I really do think, though, it makes a difference that this number just got retired. Like, he's barely had the opportunity to enjoy it. And like maybe he feels like the Mets took too long to retire his number in the first place. So it's like I had to wait like a decade too long. The ink is barely dry on my retired jersey, and all of a sudden you're going to give it to some other dude? But it is Ohtani.
Yeah, I just think that one of the hardest things in sports to do is to recognize a level of greatness while it's happening. Because you're in it a lot. Like when USC was winning with Pete Carroll every year and competing for national championships every year, I think most USC fans thought it would go on forever.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. A player like Shohei Ohtani comes along, in this case, once every 200 years. You can't be saying, it's my jersey.
You know what?
Can't
He was
wear
there.
it.
Keith Hernandez was there first. Why shouldn't Ohtani have to change his number? Like, nobody asks that. Why shouldn't Ohtani... Like, he's all of a sudden...
He might have to.
Well, I mean, think about this, though. Like, he's all of a sudden going to just start showing up to the Mets, start throwing his weight around, insulting the legend that was Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez got them a World Series. At that point, Ohtani hasn't done a damn thing for him.
I'm Keith Hernandez.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. Keith.
Screw it now. I'm on Hernandez's side.
See the force. Well, when Mace comes back Thursday, I will bring this up. Mason, this will be a hard one for Mason because Mason loves Mason, but he loves baseball too. So he might give it up for a time. I don't know. I think Mason might even give it up. If he would give it up, Keith Hernandez has to give it up. You know, come on.
I mean, again, he brought
I'm Keith Hernandez.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next, there are two stories in the world of music involving two very famous Hall of Fame rock and roll musicians. One of them has got it right. The other one has got it wrong. We'll explain next. Andy in for Mace. I'm John Ireland. Mason in Ireland, ESPN LA.
This is Mason and Ireland on 710 ESPN. Don't get it twisted, yo. The most downloaded sports radio show in Los Angeles. The podcast, that is.
Mason and Ireland, the #1 most downloaded sports podcast in Los Angeles. The #1 most downloaded sports podcast in Los Angeles. And we thank all of our podcast listeners for that.
If you ever miss a moment, get your fill anytime. Just search Mason and Ireland wherever you get your podcast.
Today it's Andy Kamenetsky in Ireland. Here's something I forgot to mention. I want to get this in before it starts. If you're a Lakers fan, and I know some of you are love to follow all of the off-season stuff, they open Summer League 30 minutes from now. They have a Summer League game today at 3 o'clock against Miami. It's on ESPN2, so you can watch it. It's part of the California Classic from Sacramento. Cole Swider, Scottie Pippen Jr., Jalen Hood-Schifino, Maxwell Lewis are all on this Summer League team. So they'll open today, 3 o'clock on ESPN2. It's 2:30 now, so this is in 30 minutes. So if you're looking for something to do this afternoon, you can check out the Lakers in Summer League. They'll open the Vegas Summer League, Andy, on Friday night at 8 against the Warriors. They'll be there in Vegas. Sedano's going out there for most of this. From July 7th through the 17th, but the first game's today at 3 o'clock.
You forgot to mention, actually, the most important player for this season with the Summer League, Max Christie. he's going to be on that roster as well. And I think that's really important because I think for second-year players, Summer League is often really telling. Like, if a rookie struggles during Summer League, it's not that big of a deal. I can think of a lot of players who turned out to be really good that had a rough rookie Summer League. But if a second-year player doesn't play well, that's often a big red flag. But if they play really well, that can be a sign of, okay, things have clicked. They want Christie to be in the rotation this year.
I can tell you this because I'm around these guys all the time. The coaching staff loves Max Christie. They think he could be another Austin Reeves.
I like Max Christie.
And the one thing they like about him the most is he is a very good catch-and-shoot three-point shooter, which is what you need when you have LeBron and AD on your team. You know, Austin Reeves shot 58% from the field in the playoffs. And one of the reasons why is he was almost never double-teamed, ever. And that's how they look at Max Christie. If you're going to help off somebody, you're probably going to help off of him. And they think he can make people pay. So if you want to check out the Lakers, we'll have the game on here. We'll kind of keep you posted on it. ESPN 2, 3 o'clock. That's 30 minutes from now. Lakers Heat in Sacramento. They'll play a couple of games in Sacramento. Then they'll go for 10 days to the Vegas Summer League starting on Friday night. Now, Andy, you sent me a couple stories about musicians, and you and I both love music, so I wanted to get into them. The first one you sent me was about Neil Young. Mm-hmm. I'm a big Neil Young fan,
So
whether it be from Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, whether you appreciate him as a solo artist. Very interesting kind of saying. You know who Neil Young is married to right now?
Yes, I'm forgetting.
Do you know Funch?
Daryl Hannah.
Daryl Hannah.
Yes.
And Neil Young are
Yes.
married.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Daryl's mom, Sue Mazzoni, who's a big Laker fan, her and her husband Don, and I've never met Neil, but they love Neil.
I've met Daryl. She was at an X Games thing that I was covering. She was very nice.
Yeah. So Neil Young, to me, is one of the great American rockers of all time.
Yep.
You sent me this story that he is playing a tour with no hits. They're mostly lesser-known songs.
Yeah, mostly rarities or things that he hasn't played live in like 15, 20 years. Like there's a couple songs that he knows everyone knows, but he's playing a lot of stuff that you don't hear often.
Okay. And the question you asked me, you sent me this in an email. You said, would you be interested in a concert without the hits?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer is an unequivocal no. And I love Neil Young. But if I'm going to you were just playing, Jorge was just playing Heart of Gold. If I'm spending $500, and I would for Neil Young, here's Hey, Hey, My, I want the hits, man. I want to hear him play all the songs that I grew up. I went to an Eagles concert last year. They're really good at staying in the fairway and playing all the hits. If you want, the best rock documentary I've ever seen is the history of the Eagles. It's unbelievable. It's 4 hours long, but it's great. And I remember Don Felder didn't want to play Hotel California or something. And Fry and Henley are like, look, people are paying hundreds of dollars to come see us play. They've saved up their money. We're not sending them home without playing the hits. I don't think I would go to a concert if I knew up front they weren't playing hits. How about you?
Well, okay, first of all, to the point you were making, Neil Young's not pulling the wool over anybody's eyes.
Yeah,
everybody
he's
knows
advertising
what this is.
it.
Right. So whatever money you pay is the money you paid. Like, he's not ripping off anybody or pulling a fast one. To me, it depends on how well do I know the artist's catalog. Like, do I know the deep cuts? Because if I know the deep cuts, hearing some of that stuff is so rare. And there are some bands, I'll be honest, some of their greatest hits aren't their best songs.
Well,
they actually aren't.
When you were saying that, the first person saying, I love Bruce Springsteen. I've paid to go see him in concert a bunch, and he's good. I went and saw him on Broadway. He never. Taylor Swift, everybody's talking about the current Taylor Swift tour. She's the modern day Bruce Springsteen. She's playing 44 songs. Yeah. She's going 3-4 hours deep. Nobody walks out of a Taylor Swift concert and says, I didn't get my money's worth. But if I went and paid to see Bruce, and he played The Ghost of Tom Joad from the start to the end, or the Nebraska album from the start to the end. I know his whole catalog. I like some of those songs, but I want to hear Born to Run. I want to hear 10th Avenue Freeze Out. I want to hear Jungle Land. I want to hear Thunder Road. I want all that. I want that whole experience, and I think I would feel cheated if I didn't
But
get
not
it.
if he told you, though. If he told
me, I wouldn't go.
Right. Well, but then nobody's getting cheated of anything. But as far as it being an appealing show, again, to me, it's how well do you know the artist catalog? Because I think familiarity helps. Like, I think if you go to a concert and you don't really know any of the songs, you start feeling lost. But, like, I'll give you an example. The Stones. I love the Stones. They're a band, though, to be honest, I think some of their biggest hits are some of their worst songs. Like, I think Brown Sugar sucks.
Well, I think they don't play it anymore because of its content.
Well, whatever.
But here, like, if you went
Satisfaction, kind of a lame song. Can't always get what you want. Heard it enough. Start Me Up. Heard it enough. Sympathy for the Devil. Played out.
Sympathy for the Devil played out.
I've heard it enough. I love it. It's a great song, but I don't need to hear it again. Like, I would want to hear some of these songs that I know I'm not going to get an opportunity to hear otherwise that I love anyway. Like, do you only love the hits of artists that you listen to?
No, but if I went to a Rolling Stones concert, my favorite Rolling Stones song.
It's a great song. I'm just saying, at this point, there's no new way to hear Sympathy for the Devil. You've heard it.
Okay. One of my favorite songs ever would be top 5 if I was going to die and I only get to hear 5 songs. One of the songs would be Gimme Shelter.
Great song.
If they didn't play it, if I went to a Rolling Stones concert and they didn't play Gimme Shelter, I would be like, what the hell, man? Funch, where are you on this? Who's your favorite artist?
I'll say Jay-Z.
All right, you go to Jay-Z and he doesn't play any hits. You feel cheated?
I mean, I know a lot of his other stuff, that aren't hits, so I might enjoy it, but I guess the majority of everyone would not enjoy it.
Jorge, where are you at?
I'm with Michael on this one, but Michael, did you know that Jay-Z had a concert, and I spent the whole hour and a half watching this, called The B-Sides?
No, I did not.
It was just the B-Sides. He played
I
nothing
think
but
that'd be
stuff
great.
that wasn't a hit. Yeah, it was
But
awesome.
I think Andy, you hit the nail on the head. If you knew it beforehand, then you got to make a decision. Me personally, my favorite. You and I both love Prince. We have that in common. There's all this. In Paisley Park, apparently there's like 300 songs that none of us have ever heard.
More than that. Way more.
I love Prince, so I would listen to him. But if I went to a Prince concert and he didn't play Purple Rain, or I went to a Prince concert and he didn't play some of the hits that, or let's just say anything off the Purple Rain album, I would feel incredibly cheated.
Well, I mean, Prince, though, is somebody, like specifically him, that does all these songs in such an unusual, fun way. Like, Prince can make anything feel really listenable. The other thing that I think would be interesting, though, about a group not playing all their hits is you're likely to get some really cool covers. Like, I'm sure that they're going to be looking probably to play stuff that at least at times, just not their songs. Like, it's an opportunity for the performer to stretch and, like, for it to feel fresh to them. Like, how many more times, from Neil Young's perspective,
right?
How many more times do you think he needs to play Ohio?
Well, if you want to take a few songs that I haven't heard and mix it into your set list, I'm fine. What you are asking me is, what if the entire set list was, as Jorge just
85%
said, the B-sides of everything? Unless you're the friggin' Beatles. Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm up for that.
Look, you mentioned Prince. Prince has an album called The B-Sides.
Yeah.
B-Sides is slamming, man. That album is awesome. Like, if I had the opportunity to watch Prince play the B-sides straight through, I'd have had no complaints.
Like, I love Sting, the lead singer of The Police, and, he's been a solo act for a long time. He went on some tangent a few years ago where he was writing a play about a boat on a deserted island and blah, blah. And I listened to all of it, and I'm like, come on, man.
But then you skip
Give
that
me
tour.
Roxanne.
But you skip that tour then. Again, like, if he is touring to promote the Sad Boat album, then you probably skip that.
All right, now the other one you sent me was Dolly Parton has come out, and she is against the Dolly Parton hologram tour.
Like, when she's gone, she doesn't want the Tupac recreation through
Correct.
holograms.
So the only time I've ever seen in-person live hologram is I went to, for about 2-3 years. She's no longer with us, but the hottest artist on the planet was Natalie Cole.
Yeah.
And she went back and did all of Nat King Cole, her dad's old albums.
Yeah.
And at the end of the concert, she would come out and sing Unforgettable, and then a hologram of Nat King Cole walked out on stage, and they were singing it together. But it was one song.
Right.
It was kind of gimmicky, but it worked. A whole show of a hologram, I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm with Dolly.
I'm out.
Funch, would you go to a whole show if Tupac was a hologram doing 30 songs?
I think I might because I've never seen Tupac before. And
Like I was
love
really
Tupac.
mad.
Still wouldn't have.
I was really mad.
Right, you're probably right. Yeah.
I never saw.
No, I'm not probably right, Funches. I am.
Well,
right.
what about would you see Frank Sinatra, John?
I saw him live. I'm not old, Funch. But by the way, Andy, you would have laughed. By the time I saw Sinatra, it was in the 80s, 1980s. I was in college. And somebody pointed out to me, Sinatra's in Vegas. We should all want to be able to say we saw Sinatra in Vegas. So we all got in a car, drove out there, saw him, and the teleprompter that had the words for Frank the font was so large it was distracting. I was waiting for him to yell line.
Oh man!
But it is on the list of things that I've done. But I'm with Dolly here. Hologram. I mean, come on, man. Like I'm mad I missed Tina Turner. I never saw her live. I'm not going to the Tina Turner hologram
Well, here's the other
show.
thing too, from Dolly's perspective, she has no control, like no agency over the hologram tour. Like it's somebody else coming up with her moves and the things that she says and sings and whatever. It's a concert of hers that she has no control over whatsoever. I don't blame her for
Well,
not
this is
wanting
an extension of the argument about AI.
Yeah.
Like Mason and I have been on the radio together for 25 years. If somebody wanted to go to the trouble of pulling every Mason and Ireland show, they could create a whole new set of shows that are all artificial
Okay,
intelligence.
you know the Mason and Ireland Reddit page?
Yeah.
Somebody actually did that. Like they fed a bunch of different shows into some type
into
of
a computer.
ChatGPT or whatever, and they had it come up with a show. And I got to tell you, it wasn't too far off. It was
All right,
not far off.
Do me a
at
favor,
all.
find that and
I'll
send
try to
it to
find
me.
it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next, we'll get Funch and Jorge involved here. What's Up, Fool is next. Andy Kamenetsky and for Mace, I'm John Ireland, ESPN LA.
If you want to sit in a suite with me and Bergman and Jacob Imrani at LAFC, what you got to do is listen to Mason in Ireland today and figure out what I'm lying about. Now, if you can figure out the lie of the day and call in at 3:30, you got a pair of suite passes to sit with us at LAFC at BMO Stadium. Plus, you qualify to win the grand prize, which is to go down on the field and hold the American flag for the Star Spangled Banner at LAFC that night. So big deal. Pay attention for the lie of the day. Call at 3:30 for your chance to win.
The annual Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest held every 4th of July at Coney Island. And we all know about Joey Chestnut. He ate 63 hot dogs in 10 minutes last year. He also holds a whole world record for eating 76 hot dogs in that same time span. Now, I'm not going to ask you guys if you guys can do a eating contest, but could you guys handle a food challenge a la John Candy in the Great Outdoors? John?
No. Matter of fact, if you asked me to go on the hot ones, it violates one of my 2 rules. Can I get physically hurt or sick, or can I get fired? And I'm one of those people who could get physically hurt or sick if I tried to eat too much. Mason could go on the hot ones. He would, because it's on TV. So, but I've also seen him eat peppers before, so he could do it. But Andy, any type of food challenge, I'm out. How about you?
I actually attempted to do one of those finish blank in an hour, you win something. Years ago, a buddy of mine and I in St. Louis went to this place that if you ate this entire pizza that was like the size of a decent sized table, you'd win, I don't know, like $200 or something.
T-shirt.
But if you didn't, you had to pay for the pizza. I don't know if you've ever like purposely overeaten, like well past your capacity.
Right.
I was feeling like I was hallucinating. And so like I thought I saw God at one point. It was insane. About 35 minutes into it, we tapped out. We just could not.
Funch, would you do it?
Thing.
Would you be a food challenge guy?
I think I could. Like sometimes I think I see some of these food challenges like with a big steak or something, and I think I can actually finish it all.
72-ounce
Jorge,
steak.
how about you? Would you be up for a food challenge?
Remember that show, Man vs. Food?
Sure. Yeah,
there's
that's
a couple episodes that I'm like, I think I could take on that. Yeah.
You think you could, but I'm telling you, I thought we'd tear apart this pizza, no problem.
So
kicked our asses.
When I was growing up, there was an ice cream store in Southern California named Farrell's. And
Still there.
Is it? And they had a thing called an earthquake. And if you ate the whole thing, you got a ribbon that said, I made a pig of myself at Farrell's. But if I remember, I might be off here, but if I remember, it was like 16 scoops of ice cream in one serving. And you had a certain time limit to eat it, and it's just like, way, man.
They're rigging the game there because the brain freezes. You're not going to be able to get through that much ice cream under the gun without just your head exploding.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I don't even think I could do that. Yeah, I think
another challenge I think I can do is the ramen challenge, which is one in downtown LA, which is like one of the hottest ramens, and you just eat the ramen bowl. That's it in like a half an hour.
Yeah, I'm out.
I think I
know you could. I think you could. I know you could. Andy.
I do spicy pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I think
and you like ramen.
I do. I love ramen.
All right, well, maybe that's something we do. All right, what else you got?
What's up, fool?
All right, guys. Back on this day in 1985, Back to the Future starring Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly was released in theaters. We all know about the plot of the story about a high schooler who goes back in time to change the past events with his parents. Quite possibly one of the greatest movies of all time. So Hollywood tends to always reboot things and remakes old movies and all that stuff. But do you guys think we'll ever see a reboot of Back to the Future sometime in our lifetime, Andy?
I mean, if you always bet on IP and Hollywood being lazy, so it probably feels 50-50. It's a terrible idea. I think it was very much of its time.
Yeah.
And if you try to replicate it, it's part of the reason why I think all these Ghostbusters reboots haven't worked very well. Just Ghostbusters was of a very specific time. I also think a lot of times the reboots that work best are the ones that weren't the biggest hits. Like the ones that sort of sneak up on you, like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of rebooting that. Like, that's kind of fun. That's different. But Back to the I think the bar is too high.
I I'd be surprised. You guys know that Back to the Future shot, Jorge, do you know this? Because I know it's one of my favorite movies. Shot like half of the movie with Eric Stoltz in the lead.
Yes.
And then had a falling out. Eric had a falling out with the studio. And they basically canned him and brought Michael J. Fox in. And that changed Michael J. Fox's career. So I'm thinking Andy's right, Funch. Normally, I would say, and I would say it again in this case, horrible idea to remake it. Somebody in Hollywood probably will.
Briones.
All right, so what's up, fool? Speaking of Back to the Future, how about Back to the Future the musical? It started on Friday. It opened on Friday, and they have it in Broadway, and it's one of those things where I want to go and actually watch it. You're a Broadway man.
Yeah.
Would you watch the Back to the Future musical?
I don't know, but Bill Nuss, who listens to us, who used to be, still is, in the TV business and did a lot of shows, said it was a huge hit in London. So I would absolutely go. If as much as you love Back to the Future, go see it. A play has to be horribly bad for me not to like it. I just like being on Broadway in the show, watching people do their thing. So yeah, I would absolutely try.
What are some of your favorite shows from Broadway?
The best show I've ever seen is when Cranston redid Network, and he did the Peter Finch role. It was he won a Tony for it for Best Actor. It was absolutely unbelievable. That's the best play I've ever been to, the funniest play I've ever been to, and I was absolutely blown away by how many risks they took was Book of Mormon.
Yeah, that's really good.
Love that one.
I thought Book of Mormon was, I remember, it's indescribably raunchy. And after about 20 minutes, I was sitting next to in the theater, a woman, older woman, had to be in her 80s, was dressed to go to the theater. And I just felt, there's a song in there that I can't even, it's so offensive, I can't even tell you what the name is, but I think you guys all know the one. It's when the elders go to Africa for the first time and they're in the jungle, and they say, "What are you singing?" And they tell him the name of the song, and it's so offensive, I can't even repeat it. I leaned over to this lady and I said, "Are you okay?" And she looked back at me and she goes, "This might be the funniest thing I've ever seen."
It's great.
Yeah.
It's really, really
so,
good.
Jorge, I would go... and if you don't have any reason to be in New York, I'm sure it'll come out to L.A., but I would absolutely take the time and go because of your connection to that movie and how much you like it.
I don't have a big interest in seeing Back to the Future, the musical. Like, I'm not a big fan of music. I love theater.
Lisa went to School of Rock and said it was really good.
Yeah, I mean that's an easy one to adapt because I mean a lot of it's just singing. It's sort of a musical without being a full musical anyway. I don't necessarily need to see that in musical form, but I love theater. I do love going to theater.
Yeah, so somebody will see it and we'll get a review of it going.
What's up, Foo?
All right, guys, I did something recently I never did before. I changed my own headlights.
What?
Yes. When it comes to fixing cars and doing maintenance, I don't know how to do much. I have a family full of mechanics, but the genes seem to skip me. Gentlemen, are you guys savvy behind the hood or changing your tires or doing any of that stuff? John?
All right, it's funny you bring this up.
Can you change a tire?
I can change the tire. I wouldn't. I would just call AAA. But my parents made me learn how to change a tire, so I know how to do it. But, so, Funch, I'm driving around the other day, and my car sends me a warning that I'm out of wiper fluid. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, how hard can it be to change the wiper fluid? So I happened to be driving by, like, an AutoZone. Mm-hmm. And so I popped in there and I bought like the big gallon jug of wiper fluid. And I go, okay, I'll just fill my car up and then I'll have, wiper fluid in the garage. If Lisa's car runs out, I'll, just have it. So this is how little I know. Two things. I popped the hood release. I've had this car for a year. I realize I've never opened the hood. I don't know how to. And so I literally had to go to the manual to see where the hood release was. So I get in the hood, and I also had to look at the manual to see where the wiper fluid was. And to show you how little I look, I start pouring the wiper fluid in.
Oh, no.
No. I put it in the right place.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But the entire gallon jug fit. That's how low I was. But I filled it up as soon as the light came on. But that's, I know there's no way you know less than me, and I could never change my own headlights. That'd be, Andy, can you change your own headlights?
No.
Jorge?
Oh, of course.
You could.
Oil change, everything.
I did change the oil in my old car once because I wanted to just prove to myself that I could do it.
Yeah.
But I made my neighbor across the street do most of the work.
I can
$200, gentlemen.
I can add oil. I can add oil to my car. I know how to do that. I've added a few other fluids. I have changed the tire. Now that I've done it, I can say it's an overrated experience. I don't need to do it again. I don't know a damn thing about
I'm
cars.
paying AAA for a reason, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Guys,
Exactly.
come on, right?
Exactly. All right, you got one more? Or is that it?
That's it.
Okay. So coming up next, by the way, I want to remind you, top of the hour, 5 minutes from now, on ESPN2, the Lakers Open Summer League. Lakers, matter of fact, Funch, do me a favor and get that Laker game up there on one of these 19 TVs we have in here. Lakers, Miami Heat. So if you want to see all the young guys play, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Maxwell Lewis, who they drafted last week. Andy mentioned Max Christie's on that team. Scottie Pippen Jr.'s on that team. Cole Swider's on that team. They got a lot of shooters on this Summer League team, and they're going to be on the air at the top of the hour in 5 minutes. And so we'll keep one eye on that, and we'll tell you what else is going on around the rest of NBA free agency. Andy Kamenetsky's in for Mace. I'm John Ireland. 2 hours to go, or 2 hours down, one more to go. ESPN LA.
The fun way to drive home is with Sedano and Cap.
George, what do you want to do? You want to throw out another first pitch at the Angels?
Sure.
Me too.
Can you do it on a night that Otani's pitching?
That would be, and Otani would love that.
Sedano and Cap.
Next at 4 p.m.
on 710.
.710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
710 ESPN.
A Good Karma Brands radio station.
I noticed that my central vision started.
Los Angeles,
sports.
And it is the biggest show on the radio. Mason and Ireland is on for your Monday afternoon.
I want it so bad.
Happy Monday, Jack. When you think the Monday before the 4th of July, a non-company holiday where everybody's working here at the radio station, well, guess what? You're going to know that Steve Mason's on vacation. His San Francisco vacation continues. Andy Kamenetsky, Mr. 15 minutes and 40 seconds, is here sitting in for Mace. John Ireland, the voice of your Lakers, is here as we recap all that went down. What a Lakers free agency it was. But 48, 72 hours, it was magical. We'll talk about it all afternoon long. Let's get you ready with the 4th of July holiday with some fun and frivolity. Let's get to it. Mason and Ireland, your Monday afternoon right now.
It is Monday afternoon, day before the 4th of July, and some of us are working, including Andy Kamenetsky and I. We're getting a lot of reaction to stuff we've already covered on the show. Maria Fisher writes, John, it was the pig's trough at Farrell's that would earn you the I made a pig out of myself at Farrell's, but there was no time limit. The zoo was the largest thing on the menu, and it was brought out on a stretcher by 2 servers with the sound of ambulances blaring. So if you finished the zoo, apparently, that made it work. Also, Jorge, what was the... Oh, did he step out for a second? The other thing is we're getting a ton of...
Oh, my God. I just Googled the zoo
to
find this. This is amazing.
Do they have a video of it?
There is a video of it,
okay.
actually.
So we've also had a ton of reaction to the Keith Hernandez story. Now, if you weren't with us last hour, Keith Hernandez, who is now an announcer for the Mets, had his number 17 retired by the Mets last year. And he was asked on the air by his broadcast partner, Gary Cohen, if Shohei Ohtani came to the Mets, would he unretire his number to let Shohei wears number 17? Here's how that went.
I'm Keith Hernandez.
No, not that. This.
If Ohtani were to sign with the Mets, would you allow him to wear his number 17?
Well, he couldn't.
Well, with your permission, he could.
Don't ask.
So Shohei said he wouldn't do it. So Crypto Ray said, I would say yes, but for money. So, Andy, you sided with Keith Hernandez in this dispute. You said that you would not unretire your number. What if I came to you and said, hey, man, we get a chance to get Ohtani, but he wants to wear number 17. Here's $1 million. You're going to come out of this smelling like a rose, and I'm going to give you $1 million. Are you in?
Well, you got a counteroffer. I mean, you got to at least go mil 1.5.
Oh, come on, man.
You never accept the first. You're a capitalist, John.
I know, but I would let him do it for free.
Right. Well, you're a terrible capitalist then. You never take the first offer.
Now, it seems...
Split it at 1.25?
I can't believe you're asking for more money.
Yes.
Just ridiculous.
Again, if you're Keith Hernandez, you just had this thing retired. You've barely been able to soak in it. You got the Mets a World Series. Ohtani at this point hasn't done a thing for him.
That's an interesting kind of side thing. It would be, Jorge, what was the thing? I didn't have a chance to look at it. What was the thing you sent me about if I wanted your number? You had a story about it.
Yeah, so there's a Chilean soccer, Ivan Zamorano. He played for Inter Milan, and when Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, came to play, he wanted number 9.
Okay.
So then
in soccer, number 9 and number 10 are a big deal, right?
Big deal, yeah. So he was the top scorer in the league, best player in the world, Ronaldo was. And then Zamorano said, hey, you can go ahead and take my number. But how can I replace it? He went to the kit guy. He's like, hey, just take number 18. 8 plus 1 is 9. He's like, great. This guy, Zamorano, goes to the league and says, hey, is there a way I can put 1 plus 8 on my jersey and go that way? They said yes. They approved it. And it became the highest selling jersey in Italy at the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like something Cappy would do.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, that is
it's ingenuity, man.
Yeah, that is a great side hustle there. 1 plus 8.
9.
Yeah.
Yeah, why can't Ohtani just wear 1 plus 6?
Okay, so
why is he so special?
The Lakers game has started in Sacramento, the Lakers Summer League game. What's interesting is, they're playing Miami. Gabe Vincent, who the Lakers just signed away from the Heat, is sitting next to the Laker bench.
Nice.
So we've already got him. Max Christie's on the board with 2 quick free throws, and we are underway. This is the California Classic. It's hosted at the Golden One Center in Sacramento. That's where the Kings play. And this is the Lakers' first Summer League game. They'll play 2 games in Sacramento, and then on Friday they will move to Vegas, and they'll be in Vegas for 10 days. And Sedano, is Sedano working today, Funch?
I don't think he is.
All right, well, he's going to be up at Summer League for a couple of weeks, so he'll be out there in the middle of all that. And I actually think that these Summer League games, Andy, are fun to watch just because these are players who don't get a lot of run.
He is working
when the season goes.
Well, there's also, for the Lakers, too, there's stakes involved with this Summer League game in the sense that you want to see how Max Christie's developing because he is somebody that I think the Lakers, maybe not in pen, but very dark pencil, have him slotted in to be part of the rotation. I know they want him to be, and I think Christie fills a role that they need along the wing. Jalen Hood-Schifino was the first mid-level pick they've had in a while, and I don't think it's a lock that he's going to get minutes this year, but I don't think it's an impossibility either. Either way, you want to have an idea of what he plays like, what's his style like. Maxwell Lewis is just super athletic. Colin Castleton, that big man that they just signed to a 2-way deal, who I also don't think it's impossible, if nothing else, he could see some time with the big club. So I think there's a lot that's really fun and intriguing to watch with this team.
All right, so if you want to check it out, it's on ESPN2 right now. Game just started. Lakers Heat, first Lakers preseason game. Or not preseason, but Summer League game. By the way, Funch, the Heat do something. For people that don't know, Michael Funch's other job, when he's not helping us out with the shows, is he produces the Laker broadcasts with Michael and I. So, Funch, the Heat broadcast these Summer League games live on the radio.
Really?
They do.
Wow.
They're the only team that does it.
Wow.
Do you think people would be into that?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we should have a conversation with somebody about it.
I'll tell you right now, Laker fans are diehard enough. I actually think they would listen in.
Yeah, the Heat do that. They, there's rights fees involved, and there's money and travel and all that stuff.
I mean, I can tell you just from interactions on Twitter at Cam Brothers that I get, or like the Locked On Lakers YouTube channel, the comments section, fans that I hear from are interested in this team and interested in these young guys.
I'd love to do it if they'd let me do it.
Also, can I point out the jerseys? The jerseys are nice.
Well, the Heat are just wearing their normal Miami Heat in-season jerseys, and the Lakers are wearing kind of a white off-color. I don't know if those are exactly the Sunday whites that the Lakers wear for games, but you're right. They look sharp.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that game for you. I saw this story, and it struck me as a little weird. Andy, did you play in the pickleball tournament?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's an app that you can download to your phone called Swimply, okay? And it basically tells you where there are pools near you if you want to go swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these pools are people's houses that will allow you to go over to their house and use their pool.
Yeah.
They've added a pickleball element to the app. So if you, let's say you and your wife had a pickleball court at your house, you make it available on the Swimply app, and people can say, like if I wanted to come rent your pickleball court from 3 to 4 today, I would rent it on the app. You would then, it's like renting a car on Turo. You would then send me the directions. Hey, here's the app. Here's where to park. Here's where you go in. Enjoy yourself. Just make sure you're done by 4 because somebody else is coming at 4. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think I could do it. I don't think if I had a pickleball court, I could rent it out, and I don't think I could go to someone's house to play pickleball. I would feel like that's some type of an invasion of privacy. I have no problem going to a public pickleball court. I don't think I'd go to somebody's house. How about you?
I mean, it's not an invasion of their privacy. They invited you there.
But I would feel weird, I'm saying.
Why? Like,
I don't
have
know.
you ever Airbnb'd?
Yeah, but I have, but
I mean, this is far less intrusive. Like, you're not even
but
going in their house.
Airbnb, they're not in the house. In this case, you could be home, and I'd be showing up at your house to play pickleball,
Right.
and I don't know you.
So what? I mean, you're probably not really going to interact. You're just going to be outside on the pickleball tournament.
Jorge, could you go play pickleball at somebody's house?
Maybe not. I don't think so.
How about you, Funch?
Yeah, it's like playing basketball in the backyard or something. No problem
But
with that.
but you don't know the person's
Right.
yard that you're in.
You don't have to know them. Again,
no.
You're not like.
What about
it's not a B&E. Like you're not breaking in.
Could you swim in their pool?
I guess.
You would have no hesitation.
I mean, look, I'm somebody that never wants to meet anybody, so
Right.
I'm the wrong person to ask. But like, I feel like if you're somebody that would Airbnb, for example, this is far less invasive and far less of like a personal interaction or connection than an Airbnb. Like, I would feel weird Airbnb at somebody else's place. I would absolutely not in a million years ever offer up my place for Air. I don't want any of you freaks in my home. Like, I don't want that at all. But to me, I feel like if you're willing to do an Airbnb experience on either side, this is just showing up somewhere to play some pickleball for an hour and then you leave.
It just seems a little weird to me. But maybe I'm the weird one. I'm not sure here. All right, Andy, how old of a man are you?
51.
Okay. Your mom's still with us, right?
Yes.
Does your mom still have the ability to make you do something that you don't want to do just because she's your mom? Hold the answer. It has come up in regards to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game and a Dodger who will be attending. I was surprised to hear that one of the things he doesn't want to do it, but he's doing it specifically because his mom and his wife said, you need to do it. I'll explain next, ESPN LA.
Weekday, 1 to 4 p.m. for your afternoon. Sandwich between Travis and Sliwa and Sonato and Cap. Mason and Ireland continues now.
So, I was watching, you ever see the Netflix show 20 Feet from Stardom?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so I hadn't seen it in a while. I watched it years ago. It's old. It's like 10, 11 years old at least, maybe older than that.
Yeah, it's a documentary about background singers.
Right. And so that was David Bowie. We just played him with David Bowie. And one of my favorite David Bowie songs is Young Americans. Really good song. You know who sings backup on that song? I'd totally forgotten.
I know.
He went on to become a huge star. He's no longer with us.
Oh, tell me. I know the answer.
It's Luther Vandross.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just sitting there singing backup on Young Americans. I thought, wow. And that's such a great name for the doc, 20 feet from stardom, because you're standing 20 feet from Mick Jagger, and he's getting all the attention.
It's really, really good. If anybody who's really into music, 20 Feet from Stardom, awesome documentary.
Yeah, very good. All right, so Mookie Betts is going to be in the Home Run Derby for the All-Star Game, which is in Seattle next week. It's next Tuesday night, week from tomorrow. And so he's not really known. He's off. He's hitting. I think he's got 21 home runs this year. He's doing pretty good, but he's not really known as a, as like Pete Alonso or Shohei Ohtani is, like a bomber. He says, and by the way, Betts, J.D. Martinez, and Freddie Freeman will all be in the starting lineup. Betts admitted he does not want to participate in the Home Run Derby, but he couldn't say no to his wife. The wife said, I have to do it. It's the last thing I haven't done, so I'm going to do it, have fun with it, and we'll see what happens. In addition to bowing to his wife's wishes, Betts said his mother told him, don't finish last. Now, do your wife and your mom have the ability, either one, to make you do things you don't want to do at age 51?
Yes, absolutely.
I'll take it a step further. I think most of the things I do that I don't want to do are a direct result of things that my wife wants me to do. She'll say, hey, I need you to do this. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, but I don't want the argument, so I'm just doing it. But are you surprised that it worked on Mookie Betts to get him into the Home Run Derby when he doesn't want to be in it?
Why should it be any different for Mookie Betts than it is for you or me? At the end of the day, your relationship with your wife and your mother is the relationship with your wife and your mother.
Yeah, but isn't J.D. Martinez more, I don't know, equipped to participate in the Home Run Derby than Mookie Betts?
Isn't Mookie Betts a bigger star?
Yeah, true.
I mean, the average casual is going to care more about seeing Mookie Betts than J.D. Martinez.
But it's interesting. If you look back on all the decisions you've made in life, or like when you've turned left when you should have got turned right, aren't you surprised by how many of them involve a woman?
No, actually not at all.
Like your mom, your wife, a girl you really wanted to go out with that you were trying to impress. I mean, most of if I made a list of the 10 dumbest things I've ever done, I think a woman is in 9 of the 10 stories.
It sounds about right, and I think, again, it's the same for a lot of people out there.
Laura Romo has weighed in on the pickleball pool dilemma. She says, I think it's weirder to rent someone's pool and use that versus a pickleball court. I'll say I probably wouldn't do either, but I think the pool is weirder.
Okay, what Laura is getting to is what I was talking about earlier, where I don't think the pickleball thing is that weird at all, because so many people do Airbnb, and that's a pretty personal experience. Like, you are going inside somebody else's home and living there. Like, that is a very personal thing. A pool, I think, is a more personal experience than a pickleball court. Like, you are immersed in that person's pool. Like, there frankly been a lot of bad parts of American history with civil rights and segregation that involves pools. Like, it's considered a very personal thing. So I understand where Laura's coming from, just in the sense that a pool feels more like a personal connection or invasion into somebody else's home than a pickleball court.
Yeah, I wouldn't do either. I don't think I would do either one. Hey, are you going to go see the new Indiana Jones movie?
No.
I'm not either. Why? The first ones were so good. Why aren't we interested in this one?
Because Harrison Ford is 80 years old, and the last one, The Crystal Skull, was awful. And if you have to bother de-aging Harrison Ford, like for some of these scenes, just enough.
Jorge, in or out on the new Harrison Ford?
Funny you asked. Over the weekend, I started watching all the Indiana Jones movie again. I do want to watch it.
All right, Funch, where you at?
100% in. 100% in.
Just because of the name. Even because the reviews are not good.
And I thought the last one was all right, Andy.
Oh,
it wasn't
Crystal
that
Skull
bad.
is
It wasn't
awful.
that bad. I mean, Shia LaBeouf ruined it, but I mean, come on.
It's awful.
Pepe's review, a must watch. That's what he said on Twitter. Pepe
loves movies.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
By the way, they're coming in. Pepe and Michael are coming in on Thursday. Michael do the game. Today is Andy's game, and that's coming up in about 20 minutes. So I saw the story. It's kind of sad, but I'm want to be clear here. I'm not making fun of a tragedy, but I'm going to ask in somewhat maybe obvious question I'm not thinking of. Did you see this? It's so hot in Texas that 13 people have died.
Yeah.
I used to live in Texas. In the summer, it was 99 degrees with 97% humidity. We just stayed inside. I don't want to be unsympathetic to these people who have died because of heat stroke. But not
everybody has air conditioning.
But you could stay in the shade, right?
I mean,
you could
if it's 110 outside, the shade isn't going to do a thing for you.
Huh.
Like,
so I'm being
at that point, you're sitting in like 107.
I'm being insensitive.
I think you're not, as you would say about Rob Pelinka, you're not seeing the full board.
Okay. Funch, what do you think? Is it that difficult if it's 110 degrees to stay inside?
If you have a pool in front of you, yeah, it is. But I mean, if you don't have a pool, I don't understand why you're outside.
Yeah,
I would not assume that everybody dealing with heat stroke automatically went outside. That's all I'm saying.
You think you can get it being inside without AC?
If it's like 100 something outside, your place is going to be like 100. Like I've lived in LA with no AC or like an AC that went down, and it was like close to 100 in our place. And LA doesn't get as bad as Texas.
So the question: are we able to have a fan? No AC, but a fan.
You're going to need a lot of fans to overcome 110.
Well, but at least a fan is hitting you the whole time.
I mean, what are you going to put like a fan under the shade now or something?
Man, just whatever. Can I use a fan or not?
It's rough, man. Like when you start getting into like serious, like 110 plus. Like I remember years ago, I was playing golf in Palm Springs when it was really hot outside. I was there with a girl I was dating at the time, her sister and her brother-in-law, and we quit after maybe like 6 holes.
But you quit, which I'm
but,
saying.
But I ended up getting like either heat sickness or sun poisoning, something like that. I ended up not going out that night. Like I ended up just staying in a bedroom feeling sick.
So it snuck up on you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we were staying hydrated. Like I must have drank 6 or 7 bottles of water. I didn't even drink alcohol because I was like, I don't want to get dehydrated. And I still ended up feeling sick. I was in my 20s.
Yeah, so maybe I'm not seeing the whole thing. All right, did you see last week USC had a 2-day broadcaster camp?
Yeah.
For NBA players that want to get into the hot take business, who want to be the next Shannon Sharp. But hey, let me say this unsolicited. I haven't talked to Keyshawn, but I saw one story today that Key, who was part of the ESPN layoffs the other day, Key's going to be fine. He's done really well in business, and he had just signed a new contract that they're going to have to pay him. So Key doesn't need the money, but he was being floated out there as a possible successor to Shannon Sharp. If they could get Keyshawn, I know Skip. If they could get Keyshawn to go toe-to-toe with Skip every day, I would watch it. Key's one of the few people I know who could go toe-to-toe with Skip and beat him on occasion.
I'm just going to say this. I think Key's better than that.
You don't like the format?
Nope. Not the format, not the host.
Okay, so you're not a Skip fan.
Nope.
The interesting thing about Skip is I filled in on First Take for a week twice. The thing nobody sees about him, and I understand he's got some ridiculous takes and can come off as really annoying, and I know there are a large percentage of people that don't like him. Large percentage do like him. He could not have been nicer to me. Before we're in the commercials, he would look at me and go, "Are you getting enough time in? Do you want to go first? Do you want to go second?" Blah, blah. He likes the game, and I think Key would rise to that level.
Sure. I mean, look, it's nothing. I've never met Skip Bayless. He may be a perfectly nice guy. I mean, I've heard some nice things about him. I've heard some awful things about him.
Sure.
But it's not even about that. I just think the way he does debate is just trolling.
Right.
And I think Key is better than trolling.
Okay. Well, we're not I have no idea if they're even looking at them. By the way, the first quarter is ending at the California Classic. Lakers Heat. Miami 19, Lakers 16, with the first quarter winding down 10 seconds ago.
I saw Max Christie actually had a really nice play driving inside, finishing in traffic. I'll tell you right now, Twitter is enjoying what they're seeing from Christie.
And a lot of these guys, and then Miami hit a 3 right at the buzzer at the end, so it's going to be 22-15, Heat by 7 at the end of the first quarter. All right, somebody got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I can't tell if this is good news or bad news for Mason. I'll throw that at you when we come back. And, Andy, if you were an NBA owner, okay, and you bought a team, would you get rid of everybody right away and bring in your own people, or would you give the incumbents, for lack of a better word, a chance to show you what they can do? One owner has made that decision, and it's interesting. We'll get into that, too. First, let me tell you about BBGO. BBGO is bold, authentic Korean fire. True story. I got a text from Mason on Friday, and he says, hey, my mom is in the supermarket, and she wants to know where to go to get BBGO, because Donna listens to the show. You go to the frozen food section. That's where you find BBGO. Whether for a meal or a snack, it's the perfect way to flavor up your next get-together. It's America's favorite and #1 Asian snack brand. BBGO believes that food brings people together, and there's no better way than to share some premium, delicious Korean flavor. You can find BBGO at your local supermarket, Target, Walmart, or Costco. BBGO, the official game day snack of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Travis Sensley
right, Mason in Ireland. Andy Kamenetsky in for Mace. Jaime Jaquez is playing in this game, this Summer League game in Sacramento, and he's making an impact already. He just had an and one and on a slam dunk. I think Andy Jaquez, who of course went to UCLA, is probably in the Lillard trade if it happens, don't you?
Yeah, I would imagine so. He's exactly what Portland would be looking for. Young, cost-controlled talent. Also, too, that and one, he threw that thing down hard.
Yeah,
he really
the second they drafted him, and I thought he was up for it, despite what Sedano thought. I thought he was and by the way, I don't want to. George is not down on Jaime Jaquez. He just didn't think he fit with the Heat and the pieces they already had, and so that's why he went out and said, "There's no way they're taking Jaime Jaquez." Bro.
Bro. The bro is what really
do we have that somewhere?
Pushed it over the top.
But if Jaquez stays in Miami, I think he's going to play. I think he's actually going to crack their rotation and be in
the Miami Heat aren't taking Jaime Jaquez, bro.
Bro.
Yeah, the bro is what makes it totally work. And by the way, George is working today, so we'll try and get him in here for Game of Games Punch if he's coming in. I don't know if he's coming in or doing it from home. All right, so speaking of NBA ownership, since the new Suns owner, Matt Ishbia, bought the team, he has now fired both coaches of the two teams that he bought, traded for Kevin Durant, and traded for Bradley Beal. And if you bought a team, would you clean house and put your own people in ASAP as he's doing, or would you give the incumbents a chance to show you what they can do?
It depends. Has it been well run before? Like, if it's been well run, I'm not just going to show up and start firing people because I want to, swing my proverbial manhood around. Like,
I could give you an argument either way. The argument that it has not been is Robert Sarver was there. It's fruit of a poisonous tree. Sarver's the worst guy ever.
Okay, yeah. In the case of, say, everything under Robert Sarver and that whole atmosphere, I can see cleaning house there. Like, maybe not Monty Williams, although he had some issues with some of his players and whatever. And that is an organization that maybe really did need a cleaning house and a fresh start. That being said, Matt Ishbia, we were talking about those food challenges before.
Right.
Matt Ishbia has been running the Suns like the equivalent of somebody that every time he ever goes to a restaurant, he orders the 72-ounce porterhouse, like to show that he can eat the whole thing. Like, that dude is aggressive. Let's just say it. He's aggressive. I think honestly, it depends on, was the organization run well
Well, I don't know. What do you think Phoenix was run well before?
No. In Phoenix's case, I get it. But let's say somebody bought out Mickey Arison for the Heat. You'd be a fool to start cleaning house there. It's a really well-run organization. Like, just because you want to show you can do it because you're the big billionaire and you own the place, like, that's just dumb.
The Lakers are already 15 down in this Summer League game to Miami. I don't put a ton of stock in wins and losses in Summer League. I'm more interested in how people look.
Yep.
But right now, defensively, Miami looks good and the Lakers don't. So, but again, these are a lot of guys who may not ever play any meaningful minutes for the Lakers. But right now, it's 38-21 Miami.
Yeah, the guys to be concerned, maybe concern's even too strong, but like interested in what they're doing. Max Christie's the one guy that I think, if he doesn't look good, it's concerning.
Cole Swider in the same boat.
Yeah. Second-year guys should look good in the Summer League. If they don't, that's concerning. But obviously, like, I'm intrigued to see how Jalen Hood-Schifino looks, their first-round pick this year. I'm intrigued to see Maxwell Lewis, super athletic from Pepperdine. Colin Castleton, who has a two-way contract. I'm interested in how he looks. What is his name? Demoy Hodge. He's another two-way guy from Mizzou, I think. I'm interested to see how he looks because these are guys you might actually see a little bit on the big roster this year. And Christie's important that he plays well.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on this game. It started at 3. It'll go from like 3 to 5, and that's it. All right, so you know who Ken Jeong is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, he was in the Hangover movies. Now he's a judge
in Community.
on what's that? The Masked Singer.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, he got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now, as you may or may not know, this is Steve Mason's dream.
Yes, it is.
He wants this more than anything. He's willing to pay for it. You got to pay like $25,000. Mason will pay for it if they give him a star. So he just wants somebody to nominate him and get him the star, and he'll deal with the money later. The fact that Ken Jeong got a star, does that bode well or not well for Mace?
I mean, I think, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to Ken Jeong, because I think he's funny. Like, I enjoy seeing him and stuff. The baseline for getting a star is, did somebody nominate you and will your check not bounce? Like, that's the baseline. Like, if somebody would nominate, like, do you have to be on the boardwalk or the sidewalk?
No, the John Ireland star, there's an actor named John Ireland who, and his star is in front of the DMV.
No, but like to get nominated, like, does it matter who nominates you?
No, I think anybody can nominate you as well, as long as they cut the check.
And will Mace actually cut the check?
I think he'll cut the check, and I think that in order to get in, he would need somebody, like he might need Cranston to nominate him.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Like, does it matter who nominates you?
Yeah, I think you got to have some type of pull there. But
I mean, I would think if Cranston or like O'Shea could nominate him.
But I don't even think O'Shea has a star.
Well, I don't even know if Cranston has a star.
I think he does.
Does he?
Oh, I'd be
Well, I mean,
shocked.
look, O'Shea's dad probably has a star.
Yes.
Ice Cube probably has a star. And look, O'Shea is on his way to having a star. Like, O'Shea's become a really big deal.
But Mason would argue that he's a really big deal.
Well, he'd be wrong in this case. But I think if O'Shea nominated Mace and Mace's check cleared, yeah, I think Mace could get a star.
Well, stay tuned.
Cranston does have a star.
Yeah.
Okay, he does.
In front of the Radbury Hotel.
Okay, well then he's in the club, so to speak.
Yeah, Chick has a star. Chick Hearn.
Yeah.
Jim Gray has a star. I think Mace is on a Jim Gray level. Maybe not the national exposure that Jim had, but
what other exposure is there?
well, local. I mean, there's some local guys in there.
No,
Our
but
old
I
friend-
meant for Jim Gray. He's a national figure.
Right, but I mean, they're local people that have stars.
Oh, absolutely. Look, again, will Mace's check clear? That's what's most important.
Yeah, he's not hurting for money, so I think that the check is not the problem.
Like, is Juan okay with this expenditure?
Hell no. But that may not matter because Mason wants the star.
Well, okay. Remember we were talking before about like things you're willing
I think
to
if
do?
Mace went to Juan and said, "Hey, I really want to get this star in the Walk of Fame," and Juan said, "Absolutely not. It's a complete waste of money." The next communication Juan would get about this is what time the dedication is.
Well, here's what, if you're Juan, like we were talking about before, like things that you end up doing for your wife or for your mother or your significant other, you weigh the whole, like, is this something I want to do versus the headache of having to hear about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If Juan says no and Mace has a legit shot at getting that star, Juan's going to be hearing about this a lot. Like, at some point, you buy yourself $25,000 worth of silence that feels like money well spent.
There you go.
If you're Juan.
Yeah, there you go. All right, coming up next, Game of Games. It is the first game in the month of July. Sedano won last month, taking Mason. Mason's never won a month in like the 4 years we've been doing it. It's pretty much me and Bergman
That
every
is
time.
pathetic.
Sedano has won a couple of months this year. Jorge sneaks in. Jorge goes hot and cold, gets in there every once in a while. Your game today, do you have a preview or you want to keep it quiet?
It involves a celebrity whose birthday it is and has been very big in Hollywood like the last year or so. He's been having a good year.
Okay. So that's the tease. We'll play next. Did you track down Sedano, Funch?
Still tracking him down.
All right. If not, the four of us will play Mason and Ireland. Andy in for Mace, ESPN LA.
All right, we did this yesterday. We do it again. Combat poker at the Commerce Casino. You got to be a part of this. So it's free to enter. the top 18 advance to the second round. I'd probably be top 300, but that's okay. That's just me. Top 18 advance to the second round. Chance to win $10,000. All you got to do is go to ESPNLA.com. That's ESPNLA.com. Make sure to enter.
For you, when you need a big win. After an accident, go to calljacob.com or call 844-24-JACOB. That's 844-24-JACOB. We got the jingle. Call Jacob. Thank you. Game of games time. Take it away, Mace.
All right, no Mace today, but Andy Kamenetsky's in, and Andy has the game, and we welcome to the show Greg Bergman, who's been here doing his other job today.
That's right. But just like you when you're on the road with the Lakers, I just come in to play Game of Games.
Well, I'm glad you're here because you're my best competition in this.
Yeah.
And frankly, we both choked last month.
I had the lead for the entire month.
And I was tied with you for a lot of it. And then Sedano snuck in there and stole it.
He won the last 3 days.
Good for him, man. That's that's how you earn it. So Funch is playing, Jorge's playing, Greg's playing, I'm playing. Andy, what's the game?
Well, happy 61st birthday to Tom Cruise. He is still doing crazy stunts and saving the movie theater industry at his age. And to celebrate his birthday, we're going to play some Tom Cruise trivia.
Okay.
Multiple choice.
Okay.
Everything is multiple choice.
Okay.
All right. I'm ready.
Never knew if Jacob's going to be in or whatever. Tom Cruise was a linebacker for his high school football team, but got kicked off the team. What was the offense? His grades made him academically ineligible, he got caught with alcohol, or he got arrested after an off-campus fight. Academically ineligible, booze, fight.
Jorge.
A.
You're going academically ineligible.
Yeah.
Funch.
A. Grades are bad.
Greg.
Yeah, he's just not that guy for the other things. I'm going to go with A also.
I agree. It's unanimous. I think it's bad grades.
Well, you're all unanimously wrong. It's because he got caught with alcohol.
Wow.
Tom Cruise, I just don't see
when he
it.
was a high school kid. It was
I
before he
guess
was Tom Cruise.
Before he was Tom Cruise, that's right.
All right.
Well, he was in Cocktail.
Missed opportunity. Yeah. I watched that movie about 6 months ago. 80% of it doesn't hold up.
No,
but
it doesn't make sense.
It's so campy, and Elizabeth Shue looks really good in it, and it's worth a rewatch.
It's one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies.
All right, Andy, what's next?
What movie did Tom Cruise make his on-screen debut? Endless Love, Taps, or The Outsiders? Endless Love, Taps, or The Outsiders?
This one's you, Funch.
Either Taps or Outsiders. I'll go Taps.
Greg.
No idea, so let's go with The Outsiders.
I'm pretty sure it's Taps, but I want to make a point, so I'm going to say Endless Love. You've got one for each. Jorge?
The Outsiders.
John, good for you for following your instincts. Endless Love with Brooke Shields, who Cruise ended up in a very public feud with 20 or so years later over the validity of
By the way, Brooke Shields documentary on Hulu, excellent.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Cruise, to his credit, admitted he was wrong and he apologized to her. Tom Cruise had his first hit with Risky Business. There's a scene in the movie where Cruise is driving his dad's Porsche around and he gets challenged to race by another car. Among the passengers in that car that challenges him is a blink and you'll miss it cameo from another star. Who is it? Tom Hanks, Johnny Depp, or Sean Penn? Tom Hanks, Johnny Depp, Sean Penn.
Wow, this is a great question.
I just learned this from IMDb. I did not know this.
Greg.
So from timing-wise, it sounds like it'd either be Tom Hanks or Sean Penn. Let's go Sean Penn.
I'm going to also say Sean Penn, but my reasoning is a little different than yours because I think he had just done Taps with Penn, so my assumption is they might have been friends. I'll say Sean Penn. Jorge.
Hanks.
You're going Hanks Funch.
I'll say Johnny Depp.
The answer is Sean Penn.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing, too, that it was about the relationship from Taps. It turns out he just did it as a favor for the director, Paul Brickman.
Oh, there you go.
Cruise's first wife was actress Mimi Rogers. Which Brat Pack alum was his best man? Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Kiefer Sutherland. Lowe, Estevez, Sutherland. Tom Cruise's best man in his first marriage.
Okay. So...
he's worked with all of them.
I'm trying to figure out of when he worked with Kiefer. I just got a weird feeling. I'll say Kiefer. Jorge.
Yeah, Kiefer.
Funch.
What are the three choices again?
Rob Lowe, Emilio.
Rob Lowe.
Greg?
Yeah, I'm with Sutherland here.
You're all wrong. It was Emilio Estevez.
That doesn't even seem like it fits.
Remember Emilio later?
They were in Outsiders together.
Yeah.
And
I
Emilio,
don't even know what movie that is. So.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
I chose it earlier.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise's third wife was Katie Holmes.
Wait, hold on. Backing up, did anyone get that?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
All right, so I still lead 2-1, and Funch and Jorge are scoreless. Go ahead. Andy.
Tom Cruise's third wife was Katie Holmes. Which singer serenaded them during the service? Opera star Andrea Bocelli, Stevie Wonder, or Christina Aguilera? Bocelli, Wonder, or Aguilera?
All right, this one's you, Jorge.
Bocelli.
Funch.
Christina Aguilera.
Bocelli.
Aguilera doesn't fit.
Well, it's been wrong every time we say that. But.
Who was the third person?
Aguilera.
Aguilera, Bocelli, and who?
Stevie Wonder.
I'll go Stevie Wonder.
I think that's what it is.
Bocelli.
Tied. We're tied. We're tied.
But somebody else got one. Jorge got one.
Jorge
Okay.
got it.
All right. How many left, Andy?
I've got four if needed, plus tiebreakers if needed.
Okay.
Which film legend did Tom Cruise and Cameron Crowe unsuccessfully recruit to play Jerry Maguire's agent mentor in the movie Jerry Maguire?
Unsuccessful. So they asked him and he said no.
Yep.
Okay.
Went to the man's house trying to recruit him and he told no.
Okay.
Robert Evans, Mel Brooks, Billy Wilder. Robert Evans, Mel Brooks, Billy Wilder.
Ooh, that's a good one.
This one's Funch.
Billy Wilder.
Greg.
I'm going to go with Brooks.
I'm going to go Robert Evans just because he was such a character. Jorge.
Evans.
He started shaking his head.
Congrats, Funchess. It's Billy Wilder.
Nice job.
It's a great story. Cameron Crowe wrote like a diary of the making of the movie, and they went to go talk to him about it, and he said to Billy Wilder, there's a part I want you to play in my movie, and Billy Wilder said, I don't act, I won't do it. Crowe said, well, it's just a small part, and Wilder said, well, then I definitely won't do it.
And it was the guy who played Dickie Fox?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and Cruise, the second time they went over, Cruise went, and Cruise couldn't even get him to say yes.
Wow. Okay, so you have 2 left or 3 left?
3.
Okay.
Which country created a Tom Cruise Day in honor of him? Japan, England, or New Zealand?
That's you, Greg.
All right. I'm going to go with New Zealand.
Okay. Japan, England, or New Zealand? I'll go England. Jorge.
Seems too obvious.
It's Japan.
Funch.
You know that one?
New Zealand.
It is Japan.
Yeah. Swag, baby.
He had just done The Last Samurai a couple years before that.
That makes sense.
He apparently used to go to Japan a lot to promote movies.
So
we have a three-way tie here.
And Funch is only one back, and there's only 2 questions
But I got
left.
2 tiebreakers.
Okay.
Oh, 2 tiebreakers.
Good.
Tom Cruise is arguably the world's highest profile Scientologist. Which denomination of Christianity was he raised while growing up? Episcopalian, Catholic, or Lutheran? Episcopalian, Catholic, or Lutheran?
Well, I was raised Episcopalian, and nobody brings it up ever. So just out of sheer guess, I'll say Episcopalian. Jorge.
Lutheran.
Funch.
Lutheran.
What was the third one?
Lutheran.
Lutheran, Catholic, or Episcopalian?
Let's just say Catholic to be different.
We'll say Catholic to be correct.
Let's go!
You got the lead. Okay.
At one point, he was very
means I gotta
serious
go
about
first.
becoming a priest.
Oh, wow.
Tom Cruise.
Well,
Yeah, that didn't work out.
Could have been bad. All right, now
Different
all right,
worlds.
Last one,
Sliding
and then
doors.
we get the tiebreakers. All right, here we go.
Which of these Tom Cruise movies was selected by the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant? Rain Man, Top Gun, or A Few Good Men? Rain Man, Top Gun, Few Good Men.
Greg.
See, Rain Man almost seems too obvious here, but I'm going to say Rain Man anyways.
I think it is Rain Man, but I can't guess that. So what are the other 2?
Top Gun or A Few Good Men?
I'm going to go Top Gun. Funch.
Rain Man.
You can't
Nah,
win.
man.
You can't know you're out now.
Yeah, it's the right answer to it.
A few good men.
The answer's Top Gun.
Oh, we're tied. Funch, you got to go
I
different
just
than me.
figured military might be, culturally
Yeah, no,
significant.
that makes a nice.
All right, so it's just me and Bert.
tiebreaker. Do I need to write something down?
No,
here?
no.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I've got 2 tiebreakers.
All right.
Which of the following movies was Tom Cruise not nominated for an Oscar?
Okay.
Not nominated.
Okay.
Born on the 4th of July, Magnolia, A Few Good Men, Jerry Maguire. Born on the 4th of July, Magnolia, A Few Good Men, Jerry Maguire.
Okay.
Magnolia.
All right, Greg, I'm writing mine down.
Oh, I'm not going to write mine.
All right,
I
so you
can't.
go first, and then I've written it down, and I'll show you what I wrote.
All right, I'm going to go with Born on the 4th of July.
I went with A Few Good Men.
You went with the right answer.
No!
Start the month.
Oh. At least it came down to the 2 of us once again. That's just how this goes.
As it often does. Yeah, so, wow. He got nominated for Oscars in the other 3?
Yep. Born on the 4th of July, Magnolia, and Jerry Maguire are the 3 movies he's been nominated for.
Yeah, I knew he got nominated for Jerry Maguire.
I thought A Few Good
Magnolia,
Men.
was he the lead in
No,
Magnolia?
he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He's incredible in it. He's great.
All right, so best cameo performance by Tom Cruise
Oh,
ever.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ever. Tropic Thunder.
He's so
Austin
funny.
Powers 3.
Oh, no.
Gold
No,
member.
no.
Wait, have you seen Tropic Thunder?
Yes.
Les Grossman is amazing.
It's a really good character.
Is he doing Harvey Weinstein
No,
there?
he's doing it's not Weinstein. He's doing the other.
Was it Scott Rudin who
Yes.
used to throw stuff
Yes.
at people?
He's doing Rudin.
Yeah.
He's doing Rudin.
Really good. But Austin Powers 3, it came out of nowhere where you're like, whoa, I didn't even expect
Right,
that.
but
It was so
is,
funny.
Cruz is unrecognizable as
Yeah,
Les
he doesn't
Grossman.
look anything like him.
No, he is so funny.
I like the idea because the idea of a cameo to me is that it's just quick thing. It just happens real fast. Where in that movie, he's actually in the movie as the character. So that's not so much of a cameo as just playing a role.
All right, it's just a summer league game, and I don't want to make a big deal out of it because, like, most teams don't care whether you win or lose. It's how your guys look. But in the Lakers' first summer league game in Sacramento against Miami, the score at halftime is Miami 60 and the Lakers 40. So we have we got a lot of catching up to do.
Is this the first time they played together or like the second?
Yeah. No. This is the very first
time. Have they
time.
been practiced ahead of time?
I don't think so. And
because everybody just gets the ball at the top of the three-point line and they just take shots.
By the way, who was the person, Andy, that somebody said the Lakers hired as an assistant today?
Oh, DeMar Carroll.
Yeah.
Who was with Darvin before.
Darvin coached him in Atlanta.
So...
And he was just in Milwaukee this last year.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what's interesting is Frank Vogel has built his staff in Phoenix. There are 6 former Laker assistants on that staff, including 3 off of Darvin's staff. So I knew he needed to replace some of these guys. And obviously, Damari Carroll is one of those guys. Damari Carroll might still be able to play.
I think he played either played in 2022 or maybe 23. I know he played in 22.
Yeah, so he's
a good 3-point shooter.
Yeah,
he's a good player. He had a solid career.
You could have coaches against players if they get some injuries in practice. Let's hit the super stager.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger.
Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Sedano and Cap to join Mason and Ireland?
Super Crosstalk begins.
Super Crosstalk. Presented by Coors Light. Coors Light. Made to chill.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
All right, so we welcome to the program George Sedano and Scott Kaplan. Hi, boys. What's going on?
I had to do a quiet love boat, just so you guys know. I'm working from home today, and there's this old lady who lives next door to me, and she was going out for her daily walk with her dog, and she's just walking past. And if I hit her with the real love boat and I hit her with the siren, dude, who knows what might happen. So had to give you the abbreviated version.
Hey, Sedano, have you been watching this Heat-Laker game so far?
So I just tuned in about 5 minutes ago. What I'll say is after watching Nikola Jovic, the Heat's first-round pick from 2022, go for 13, 5, and 3, and Jaime Jaquez go for 14 in the first half, I'd say Portland is going to need a third team to add those guys at this point.
If you're a Laker fan, how concerned do you have to be? Oh, and they wiped off the Heat, one of the Heat's last baskets, so it's 58-40. How concerned should I be as a Laker fan, George, that I'm down 18?
Oh, very.
No concern.
Very concerned.
I mean, look, here's what I will say.
It's the California Classic, Cap.
Come on.
It is.
I know.
It's a classic. So, John, I've seen a few of the guys on the Lakers roster, but I would say Miami's roster is overwhelmingly a group that has played together in the G League for the most part, and also their 2 top most recent first-round picks. So they're going to be good in these summer league situations because there's actual chemistry with some of these guys.
All right, let me ask you guys about the story that picked up the most traction today that we did, and it was about Keith Hernandez, the baseball player. So Hernandez had his number retired by the Mets last year. His number 17. And his broadcast partner, Gary Cohen, asked him a question the other day during a game, and you'll hear how Keith answered it.
If Ohtani were to sign with the Mets, would you allow him to wear his number 17?
Well, he couldn't.
Well, with your permission, he could.
Don't ask.
All right, so clearly he's not asking. Now, Cap, if your number was retired and the University of Pittsburgh retired your number and they had the number 1 high school kicker in the country wanted to go to Pitt, but he wanted to wear – what number did you wear at Pitt?
I was number 9.
All right. Yeah. He goes, I'll come to Pitt, but it's number 9. And they say, well, it's retired for Scott Kaplan. Let's call Cap. And they say, Cap, this kid, Bob Superleg –
Bob Superleg is the number 1 rated
He's the
guy
number
in the country right
rated
now.
high school kicker in the country.
Right.
He, as an
He's at a
homage,
Notre Dame high.
As an homage to you, he would like to wear your number 9. What say you?
I say, hey, I'm flattered, man. I am flattered that you want to wear it. I really am. But they retired it, so it can't be worn again. So there's nothing I can really do about it.
It could be with your permission. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, but then it's not retired, and then
correct.
And then once he wears it, then somebody else is going to want to wear it, and then somebody else is going to wear it. What am I going to say to that kid? No?
Sedano, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with Cappy on this one. I'm with Keith. You know what? It's retired, dude. Sorry about it. It's not my – I mean, it'd be different if he was, not part of the organization still. I don't know. I think that makes it worse, to be honest with you.
Guys, we're talking about the greatest baseball player
come on.
ever.
Ohtani can have a different number. It's okay.
Well, I mean, listen, Ohtani –
he's not going to the Mets anyway.
Well, yeah, that's number one. But number two. But I mean, like Ohtani does everything different, right? He's a unicorn in baseball, something we've never seen before. What if he wears 17.5? I mean, is that a problem?
Well, did you hear Briones' story about this?
No.
So wait, George, tell that story again.
Okay, so in Italy, back then in the 90s, I would say, there was a Chilean soccer named Ivan Zamorano. And then Ronaldo, the original R9 from Brazil, came over to the team. Ronaldo wanted number 9, but Zamorano was wearing it. So then Zamorano said, well, you're a legend. You're a great player. I'm just going to give you number 9. He goes to the utility guy and says, hey, I need to do something about this number. What do you suggest? He's like, just go with 18 because 8 plus 1 is 9. So then Zamorano goes to the league and says, hey, is there any way possible where I can take the 1, add a plus sign, and then the 8, and then it's going to be number 9? The league authorized it, and it became the highest selling jersey in Italy soccer at the time.
Oh, my God. Ohtani's 17.5 will blow through the roof. 17 and a half. Maybe you do a fraction, 1 over a 2.
17.5. I'm actually surprised that both you guys sided with Hernandez. You know, as
I sided with Hernandez.
As Elaine Bennis once found out.
Who does this guy think he is?
I'm Keith Hernandez.
Yeah. So Keith Hernandez apparently gets to keep his number.
I'm Keith Hernandez.
John, we've got breaking news on a now former Laker. Real quick, do we have the breaking news?
Yeah,
There it is.
sure.
Free agent Malik Beasley has reached an agreement on a 1-year deal with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Interesting.
That's a good spot for him. What's interesting is earlier today the Bucks signed Robin Lopez. So he and Brooke, who were on the Bucks years ago together,
the year of the bubble,
yep, are back together now, and now Malik Beasley's going to play. I think Milwaukee's going to be good this year. I don't know, George, who got that head coach job in Milwaukee? Do you remember?
Oh, Griffin.
It's Griffin.
Yeah, Adrian Griffin. So I don't know if he knows what he's doing, but if he does, he's got a great roster. They got back Holiday. They got back Middleton. They got back Lopez. Now they're adding some parts. If he knows what he's doing, they could be right back on top. We'll wait and see.
Well, I think the biggest thing for them is Chris Middleton's health.
Right.
How real were his injuries last year, you know? So.
Why, was this like a Lamar Jackson questionable injury sort of situation?
No. I don't mean real as in they're actually real. I mean how serious they
How
are.
recoverable were they?
All right, so Cap, Crypto Ray asked a good question.
Mm-hmm.
What if Pitt, when they called you to say, hey, Johnny Superleg wants your number.
Kid's great. That kid has got a lot of talent. He's going to be big time.
And he wants to wear number 9,
Right.
and you say, no, I'm going to keep it retired. And they say, well, Scott, this is important to us.
Mm-hmm.
How much money would you like for us to get you to agree to do this? What's
Crypto
your
Ray.
price?
Crypto Ray.
There, now you're talking his language.
Right.
This Crypto Ray. First, George, what's the hot cryptocurrency going right now? Tell me what's
do not take your money in crypto. Do not be
dominant.
Mason.
Bitcoin is pretty dominant at the moment again.
Okay, so Bitcoin. All right. Crypto Ray, do I get paid in Bitcoin?
No, you get paid in real money.
Real straight cash, huh, homie?
Yep.
All right.
What's it costing me? As the athletic director at Pitt.
Would you like to make an opening salvo?
How about $100,000?
No.
Well, then what? Give me a counter.
$5 million.
How about if I say, Cap, I can't get you $5 million, but I can get you $1 million. Let's make a deal, and I'll make no mention of this. You'll just look very magnanimous, and no one will know I slipped you $1 million under the table. Let's make a deal. What do you say?
How about $1 million in cash?
Yeah.
And a $1 million contribution to the athletic department in my family's name.
Well, I am the athletic department, so
right.
sure.
Right. So
Done.
So now it's a $2 million deal.
Yeah, done.
Right. So we just went from $100,000 to $2 million. I'm happy with that.
Okay, good. We just made a deal.
That kid can have that number.
That was pretty
Keith Hernandez, way cheaper than me.
That was
John
pretty
Ireland
easy.
is Ted DiBiase, basically, at this point. The $1
million
million
$1 million man.
Hey,
That's right.
so, George, do you believe when all is said and done, I know there's going to be a lot of posturing and a lot of rumors and a lot of stuff. Do you think Damian Lillard finds his way to Miami?
Yes. I think this is very similar. To put it in terms Lakers fans can understand, this is going to be very similar to the AD situation. Now, do I think it's going to last into the season? I mean, I wouldn't say no, but I don't think it's likely. I would guess that this gets resolved this offseason. But I can, at this point, if they're going to include Jaime Jaquez, they have to wait 30 days now. So, but they can include the salary now, so they can agree in principle. But nonetheless, yeah, I think it happens, John, because everyone seems to act like Portland has all the leverage because he signed a 4-year deal. But let's be real here for a second, okay?
Really, really real?
Well, he and his agent have already said to reporters that they're willing to nuke any other deal. So let's just be reasonable here in this situation. If you're Portland, they've already said they'll nuke the other deals. They'll tell other teams they will not report. So are other teams actually going to give you anything of value? Like the chances of that are slim and none.
Yeah, it's a good question. Although, I mean, we're playing the same game with Harden. You know, Harden could say, my back hurts. We've seen him do it twice before. But do you think that makes Daryl Morey move him when he doesn't want to? I'm not sure executives react to that way. I don't know. Maybe they do.
Well, Daryl and Harden have a different relationship. Remember, Joe Cronin got there 7 minutes ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, he took over for a general manager last year. So it's not like he has this. I mean, I'm sure he has a relationship with Dame, but it's not like he wasn't the guy, you know? So I think that plays a role in this too. And look, ultimately, I just think if he's going to nuke every deal, you're going to get worse and worse offers. So get the deal done now. Miami's willing to do a 3-team deal with the Nets, and you'll probably net a few picks. And the other part of this stuff that's always fascinating to me. Now, the pick stuff. Do you believe that stuff is real currency, speaking of what you think is real money or not real money?
Yeah, I don't know. Boy, Hawkins looks good. He just hit another 3.
Yeah, and the reason I asked that, John, is because, look, the Lakers' 2029 pick, okay, I can see that one being, in theory, worth something because LeBron will be gone and probably AD will be retired too by then. But what I'm saying is when you're, like, for example, the Nets have picks because people are saying, well, he should just go to the Nets. They have more assets. And I'm like, all right, they have more assets, but what do they have? They have Phoenix's 2025 pick. Do you think that's going to be a good pick?
No way of knowing.
No, but I'm saying, like, I
25 in Phoenix, I think, is going to be towards the back end. They're not going to be bad in 25.
Right, but I mean, that's 2 years. That's not that far away. You know what I'm saying? Like, I give you relative health with those guys. Remember, 2 of them are 30 and under. So, like, they're never going to be bad, I don't think, even with Beal and Booker. They're just going to be, like, average once Durant is gone.
All right,
or
so
above average.
Ramona was in here earlier, and I threw this at her. Who says no to this deal? All right? It's a 3-team deal. James Harden to the Clippers. Dame Lillard to the Sixers.
Dame Lillard says no.
Well, I'm just saying he'd be with Joel Embiid, and they'd probably
he
be the
doesn't want to
favorites.
play in Philadelphia or Boston. I mean, Chris Haynes has been on the Dan Patrick show. I saw a video of it today saying that he doesn't want to be in Boston.
Well, he doesn't have a no trade. Wouldn't he have to go?
I mean, I just told you he's willing to nuke the whole thing.
Right?
Do you think
George,
Daryl Morey's giving him anything worth real value?
Careful, Ireland. Careful. You're getting into some very close territory.
You know what? You
now.
shut the bleep up. No one's talking to you. I'm talking to Ireland, who's an equal here.
You see what I'm saying?
But here,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Sedano,
you're starting to get crazy now.
No, but as you point out,
you're not an equal in this conversation, Captain. Sorry.
No, I fell asleep a long time ago.
He signed
because that's why, and that's why we
years.
have these issues about basketball with you. But go ahead, John.
We have issues. What are the issues?
Yeah, people think you don't know what the freak you're talking about sometimes.
I know everything I'm talking about.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, Cal knows everything he's talking about. The rest of us just don't know what he's talking
Andy.
about.
So, thank you, Andy.
So,
Kamenetsky.
George,
thank you
if
for understanding me.
George, here's why I don't think he'd be willing to nuke it. It'd be a serious game of chicken. I see what you're saying. But Dame and I have the same birthday, July 15th. So in
Happy
2
birthday.
Thank you. In 2 weeks, he turns 33. So this year he makes $45 million. Next year he makes $49. The year after that he makes $58. And the year after that, when he's 36, he makes $63 million. It's one thing to say, as you did, George, that he's willing to nuke the whole deal. But that is $200 million. He's going to walk away from $200 million?
John, he's not walking away because it's going to get done. We saw Alonzo Mourning do this when he got traded from New Jersey in 2005. He just didn't report to Toronto, and they had to sit there and figure it out. Like that. That's not.
So you think that's the way
it's not unprecedented by any stretch.
I think Lillard could make things uncomfortable if it seems like he's going somewhere that he doesn't want to go. Where I call BS, though, is the idea that he would actually crap away his age 33 season sitting out if he didn't like where he was going, because he's only going to get older. He's only going to get more injury prone. He's at a place where he has to treat every season he has in front of him as the most valuable one. Like, if there is no way he's going to take one of his last prime years and sit out because he's sent to his second choice. He's not going to do that.
Well, and also, I mean, here's a guy
I call
who's been
absolute BS on that.
Here's a guy who's been incredibly loyal to the Trailblazers organization. He could have years ago said, hey, I got to get out of here because they're not doing anything other than paying me a lot of money, and we're not going anywhere. Part of that loyalty is truly celebrated as a marketing tool in his Modelo commercial. Seriously.
Right.
What I'm saying is, though, that if he wants out of Portland, and George, I hear what you're saying. I would expect him to go to Miami also. But, I mean, at least he'd be out of Portland, and at least he'd be on a contender in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out and see which one of these guys is like, if he is willing, to use your phrase, George, willing to nuke the whole thing, it's a ton of money to play chicken with. It's $200 million.
Sure, but, I mean, when you've already made close, more than that. Like,
fair point.
I think that's also part of the deal here, too. It's not like this isn't his first real deal.
Right.
So, like, that is also part of this. And if you're Portland, I just think you're committing career suicide here if you're Joe Cronin playing this game. Go ahead, play the game. Guys don't forget, man. Like, even teams like the Lakers had trouble getting guys in certain stretches of their history. Do you think Portland's not going to have trouble getting guys?
Yeah, they already do.
Well,
that's a good point.
That's why I don't think Portland is going to send him to somewhere he hates. Like, I don't.
Right, he's not going to Siberia here.
Right,
and he
but I will say, if the best deal Portland can get by a pretty wide margin is, say, Brooklyn, as opposed to Miami, I think they'd be willing to send him to Brooklyn.
Well, but what I would say, and I would agree with you on that. I think that maybe that would happen, but then he'd be in the same place he was with Portland. Like, where is he? He's not a contender,
right? But to some degree, that's Dame's problem, not Portland's problem. You
right,
know what
but
I'm
he's
saying?
already. But that's part. But then if you're him, that's why you nuke that deal.
Well, he
Because
can't
you're
truly.
like,
But he
I'm
can't
not gonna be
truly
on a
nuke
contender.
it.
The difference.
He can't truly nuke it. That's the difference.
I mean,
if
he
I
cannot
remember,
report, and then what?
He'll eventually report, dude. He's not going to sit out.
No,
he's not going to sit out this
I'm
whole
telling
year.
you,
I call BS on that. He won't.
I get it. You can call
Careful,
BS,
Andy.
but what I'm telling you is
Careful.
there is present. Will you shut the freak up before I kick you in the teeth?
No, dude, this is getting close.
Oh,
now.
this is getting good, and it's
No. This is the adults having a conversation at the table, and it's okay. We can have a conversation amongst the three adults here. So there's that.
Now I'm blowing up. I don't even know if PTI was on today, but if it was, I'm blowing it off to listen to Sedano and Cap. It continues next. ESPN LA.
Plumbers, electricians, and HVAC